Alright, you and I are about to watch this kid show up unarmed to duel the Academy's absolute best. Everyone thinks he has lost his mind. His opponent is Laika, a famous sword prodigy who is just completely overpowered. The crowd expects an absolute beatdown. But Zeke, he just laughs fully, knowing she is not even close to his level. The duel kicks off. Laika rushes in, instantly dropping a massive strike straight from above. Zeke casually dodges it. She instantly swings wide for a huge slash, but hits absolutely nothing. No matter what, she does zero contact. Meanwhile, Zeke ducks every single hit, literally joking around like he is fighting a toddler. The entire arena just freezes, stunned by his insane speed. Laika loses her mind, screaming at him to shut up and fight, so Zeke simply decides it is game over. He moves faster than she can even process. One single punch, and she is slammed straight into the dirt. Shaking, she struggles back up. It makes no sense. How did she miss every single attack while he completely demolished her? Zeke calmly drops the harsh truth. No matter her effort, they exist in completely different tiers. But mid-sentence, Laika suddenly launches a desperate sneak attack. Bad move. Zeke easily deflects the hit and counters hard, sending her flying into the wall. Dead silence. You and I saw it, but the students cannot believe their eyes. They never imagined Lady Laika losing to anyone here. Now everyone is wondering the exact same thing. Who is this kid? What they do not realize is he is actually the strongest man on Earth, reborn, the literal founder of the Elragon family. Even legends die eventually. But death was not the end. He just opened his eyes in a brand new body as a baby. Waking up as an infant is a massive shock. Plus, there are other babies here too. Looking around, he figures out he got reincarnated right back into his own Elragon family, since they are all kept in a special building. Suddenly, maids roll in a cart full of weird red liquid. Seeing a goblin among them instantly puts our hero on high alert. First, those maids violently force the goblin to drink it. The creature screams in pure agony, before literally exploding into a bloody mess. This twisted test proves the magic concentration is at the perfect sweet spot. Without missing a beat, the maids start feeding this diluted red stuff to everyone. Our guy is completely confused, but when it is his turn, he realizes this liquid is definitely not milk. It is overflowing with terrifying raw magic. They are actually forcing babies to drink ancient dragon blood. His instincts scream at him to spit it out, but he already swallowed some. Just like the other babies, he needs to puke this stuff up before he literally goes boom. I know what you and I are thinking, play it safe, right? But nope, he decides to absorb all this crazy magic to reach the absolute martial arts peak. So he chugs the entire thing down, proving they should never underestimate the great Gilfus Elragon. He absorbs every drop of that ancient dragon source power. He is aiming for a legendary height he could not even touch in his past life. The maids are totally shocked that he drinks it so calmly. But they ignore it since this crazy result actually works in their favor. Miraculously, the other babies survive too, but this brutal test is absolutely no joke. Since he is stuck in an infant body, heavy sleepiness suddenly hits him hard. 7 whole years pass. The legend once known as Gilfus goes by Zeke Elragon now. He trains like an absolute beast, feeling his new body become insanely strong. All thanks to that ancient dragon blood pumping through his veins. The raw source of this power actually exists inside everyone. But that dragon blood Zeke drank, it is packed with massive amounts of 2 distinct source powers. Absorbing even a tiny drop gives you a body miles ahead of normal humans. Luckily, this is a huge win for him. Guided by the divine source power from his past life, our guy managed to perfectly take in every single drop of that unique dragon energy. His body goes through a transformation so wild that even he cannot believe the results. Honestly, by normal logic, he should be sitting at 4 stars right now. A star is basically compressed core energy formed when someone treats their body like a universe and creates a star inside. But getting more stars is crazy hard. And obviously, the more stars you stack up, the more completely overpowered you get. Yet somehow, he just hit the unmatched rank of 10 stars. He is literally the only person alive to do that. So what do you and I make of this? 7 years reborn, a dead mother and an absent dad. Wild, right? Picking up 1,000 years in the future, totally shocking. But honestly, the actual state of this new era annoys him way more. Stick with me here. A millennium later, the strong literally eat the weak. Though let us be real, that sounds exactly like 2025. Take the Dragon family trial, for example. It is pure madness. Only the babies tough enough to survive get to train as their elite warriors. But over the past few years, not a single obstacle has even slowed our main guy down. Zeke tries digging into his family combat secrets. The maid's dead silent. And yeah, it is pretty obvious they are under strict orders not to talk. Even the maid he chats with is a 3-star fighter. That is plenty strong for basic brawling. 7 whole years living together, and he is just exhausted by these ridiculously basic conversations. So he casually strolls into the forest and starts snacking on poisonous herbs. Normal training stuff, right? He senses someone watching, but first, a massive angry boar wrapped in weird black mist. That definitely was not a thing a millennium ago. They clash and Zeke just totally obliterates the beast with one powerful punch. That kind of damage is totally insane for his current level. He is just a 1 star, but honestly, the quality of that star is what counts. Our hero grabs his boar prize and heads out on his journey. But wait, a mysterious guy has been creeping nearby this whole time. He watches the beatdown and instantly knows Zeke is far from normal. Actually, Zeke did not just effortlessly crush the boar. He totally noticed that stalker hiding in the bushes too. Problem is being the family boss's kid means zero freedom. Zeke cannot just wander off. He is being watched 24/7. The stranger is super intrigued. Later on, our hero catches some veteran warriors whispering about a secret plan. Now pay attention, this is where it kicks off. He bursts in demanding answers, and they drop the bomb. They are retrieving him for a mandatory exam. Zeke is fuming. He fully expected a cozy trip back to the main house. Instead, they drag him straight to the dragon's nest for testing. This place, it is the most elite academy the dragon family built over the last 1,000 years. Every single 7-year-old in the bloodline must enroll here. Today is the big entrance exam, and there is one tiny hilarious problem. Our guy has zero formal training. He just facepalms hard, fully aware he cannot skip this. Looking completely drained, Zeke gets interrupted by some random kid named Langus, who hails from Old Scale Village. At a glance, Langus seems super cowardly. But Zeke spots real hidden courage hiding right under that shaky, nervous vibe. Zeke casually introduces himself in return. When Zeke admits he is sweating the exam because he literally knows nothing about it, Langus is completely mind-blown. Before they can even bond, this punk named Retin from Old Scale Village shows up and starts bullying him. The bully starts screaming, claiming Langus should have just stayed home. Why? Because a total loser like him could never enter since his dad is just a mock dragon. See, this dragon family runs on an insanely strict ranking system. Down at the bottom, lesser dragons are just rookies. Young dragons, basically common soldiers. The adults hit the captain class, while the massive elder dragons sit at the absolute top as executives. But the absolute rock-bottom mock dragons, the failures who never made it into the nest or simply dropped out, society treats them like cheap imitations. But Langus, he is determined to wipe that mock dragon label off his family forever. Our hero instantly steps up for his new buddy, saying everyone deserves at least one chance to try. The bullies get totally enraged and start spitting worse trash at the poor kid. Zeke, however, continues to defend his new friend. Right on cue, the adult dragon examiner roars out that the test is finally starting. Every applicant needs to grab a numbered tag after registration and orderly march over to the second gate. Panicking Langus tells Zeke to just withdraw if he is clueless or lacks ability. But Zeke is standing there looking ridiculously confident despite knowing absolutely nothing about this test. The very first challenge is simple, just put a scratch on that giant rock. Manage that, and you pass with flying colors. You can only use the provided weapons or just go barehanded. Oh, and every kid gets exactly 3 attempts. You and I both expected a terrifying level right, but Zeke finds it ridiculously lenient, leaving his friend completely shocked. Test begins. Langus is panicking while our boy is just sitting there calmly. Here is the catch. That test stone has crazy regenerative properties. It literally repairs minor damage almost instantly. Even worse, if you strike with pure brute force, it reflects back hundreds of times the original impact. Langus explains the trick: you must properly circulate ether source power within your body mid-strike just to leave a mark. Zeke instantly gets it. This is more about your handling of ether source power than actual martial arts skills. Most kids look like they will pass, including the bullies. But there are still consecutive disqualifications happening left and right. Finally, it is his turn, refusing all weapons. Trust me, you want to see what is next. Stick with me here. Our guy just agreed to take the test, barehanded. The crowd is already whispering, totally convinced he'll fail miserably. Langus is sweating bullets for him. But as the exam starts, our hero is just casually studying the rock. He realizes this thing is ancient, like over 1,000 years old. He's never seen a mineral quite like this. Then bam, he pulls back his fist, unleashes his Dragon Slayer combat technique at full power, and completely shatters the regeneration stone. Exam passed. Dead silence. The entire crowd is totally speechless at the crazy result. Langus is absolutely losing his mind with pure shocked joy. Meanwhile, the examiner narrows his eyes. He's literally wondering if our boy is the secret love child of some massive noble family. Because shattering that takes a 4 or 5-star warrior. His reward is a mysterious green potion, but he has no clue what it actually does. Later on, Langus clues him in. It's basically just a standard grade healing potion. But Zeke is thinking bigger. Could this be an elixir packed with super rare ingredients? Stuff loaded with unique herbs and phantom beast cores. Those things heal ancient scars, fix fresh wounds, and absolutely skyrocket your ether levels. Because those ingredients are so scarce, making it as a nightmare. You practically never see them sold. Langus adds that house dragon potions totally blow normal store-bought stuff right out of the water. Our boy is just sitting there stunned while his friend keeps hyping him up. The local bullies end up passing too, and now it's Langus's turn. He tries scratching the stone with a sword but completely fails. Now watch this, it's his final try. The bullies are already trashing him, laughing that a half-dragon was always going to fail. Zeke steps up and tells him to drop the sword for a spear. The sword clearly wasn't his style since he couldn't even dent the rock. The whole room is mocking his weakness. But our hero completely saves his buddy by forcing that weapon swap to a spear. See, Langus's father was actually permanently banned from entering the dragon nest. People mercilessly mocked him as a half-dragon. But his dad never threw in the towel and raised him right. Now he desperately wants to prove the haters wrong but has zero clue how to use a spear. Zeke just says thrust straight, don't overthink it. Damaging a regeneration stone on your very first try with a spear sounds totally impossible. But hey, you can't write yourself off before even trying. They literally just met today. But seeing Zeke believe in him so hard makes Langus want to finally believe in himself too. No hesitation, he drives the spear straight into the rock, and suddenly it feels like an extension of his own body. Shocking everyone in the room, he doesn't just scratch the thing, he straight up pierces it. You feel that hype too, right? Zeke is totally cheering him on. He actually passed the exam, which he can barely believe himself. Happy tears are literally streaming down his face while those bullies are sweating buckets. Just like that, the exam wraps up and the big entrance ceremony kicks off. Zeke wonders if that's the only test, but his buddy warns another might be coming. Then the Elragon family head steps up to give his speech. Zeke immediately roasts the guy's gloomy face out loud, while Langus frantically tries hushing him. Looking around, Zeke scopes out the Elragon family's current strength. Spotting multiple 6-star level fighters, yeah, that's a seriously solid lineup. Lord Bala Eldra is the big boss, and this dude looks like a terrifying 8-star level threat. 1,000 years ago, there were maybe a dozen people at that tier worldwide. Also, Zeke clearly holds a massive grudge against his own dad. Lord Bala tells them to become the flesh and blood of Elragon. His aura is so crazy heavy the new students are literally gasping for air. Everyone is getting totally crushed by this insane pressure. Our hero instantly decides he absolutely hates this guy. Right then, an older dragon steps in, buttering up the Lord for his gracious speech. He brushes it off as just dramatic wording, and the whole room collectively sighs in massive relief. Pretty soon, a warrior announces it's finally time for dorm assignments. Anyone called needs to pack up and move out immediately. Zeke asks if they'll end up together. His buddy explains the dragon nest actually splits everyone into 4 totally different dorms. If you made the cut, you're tossed into either the east, west, north, or south building. Our boy Zeke ends up landing a sweet spot in the east dorm. After wandering around hopelessly lost, he finally tracks down his room and throws open the door to greet his new roommate. Surprise, Langus is his roommate, and they are both super hyped about it. Zeke has zero plans today, but Langus warns him training kicks off tomorrow. Because Zeke completely ignored the announcements and had no clue, his buddy instantly starts scolding him, and that's where we leave it. He's already plotting to ditch this boring academy for a trip. But between the regeneration stone, healing potions, and rare elixirs, he is finding some seriously good loot. So you and I are going to watch him stick around House Eldrian for a whole month. Right now, there is a training session teaching a technique called Dragon's Breath. Supposedly, the 15th head of House Eldrian created this method. A few top students have already mastered this move, especially Lady Laika, who is practically radiating 2-star energy. Then we have Zeke. Zero training, but his insane skills have the instructor wondering if he secretly inherited the head's raw power. Funny thing is, the hero's original Dragon King's breath was just watered down and renamed Dragon's Breath. Basically, these methods pull ether from the air right into the body, circulating it to completely boost a fighter's core strength. Success depends entirely on user skill, which is exactly why every noble family heavily guards their own custom styles and secret techniques. But if this move only works while standing totally still, it is absolute garbage to our hero. His past life's version let him endlessly channel ether while moving at full speed, and the power boost was absolutely massive. Since the original was way too hard, barely anyone inherited it. So he simplified it back then just to make his clan stronger. He just never expected his tweaked version to survive straight into his next life. Later at dinner, Zeke straight up tells Langus to eat his food or stay weak forever since he really needs to train harder. While he observes the trained students, Laika suddenly crashes his meal loudly, praising how amazing he was out on the field. Langus immediately starts sweating bullets, whispering that this girl is actually the head's daughter. Completely unbothered, our boy replies that he is also the head's kid. He casually answers her while still forcing Langus to finish his dinner. This bold attitude completely thrills her. She offers him a spot as her minion, claiming an illegitimate child desperately needs strong allies. She demands his help to steal the seat as the next head, promising to shower him with crazy rewards in return. Zeke just calmly says no. Even when she flexes the head's premium potions as a bribe, he completely shoots her down. Annoyed, Laika projects her ether outside her body, a genuinely insane feat for a kid her age. Bluntly fires back that he doesn't care about family politics and refuses to serve anyone, simply because he is already the strongest. Laika challenges him. Watch closely because you and I are about to witness one wild training ground fight. Zeke realizes things are escalating super fast while a panicking Langus warns him she isn't just Lord Balsa's kid, she has Typhon blood. That is one of the 4 legendary families backing House Eldrian. She is a total monster, mastering her family's entire fighting style at 7. Sadly, this lore drop means absolutely nothing to our hero. He just thought she was some rich daughter. Still, he stands there looking completely confident, and fighting a mysterious genius just hypes him up. His friend keeps crying that he will be crushed by Lady Laika, but both fighters are already hyped and ready to clash. Before starting, Zeke casually asks why she is so obsessed with fighting him right now. Simple. She wants to prove she deserves to be the next head by crushing him, forcing him to bow as her eternal servant. Seeing him clueless about his own family, Laika mocks his illegitimate status. She reveals there are actually 5 total heirs violently competing for the next head spot. Every single one carries elite blood from the 4 backing houses except him. To secure her dominance early, she needs to publicly destroy him. With that, she casually swings a massive sword, but our boy just effortlessly sidesteps the deadly strike. Her slashes keep accelerating, moving lightning fast. The whole crowd suddenly realizes the terrifying power of the head's true bloodline. You and I both know how this goes. She keeps attacking while Zeke literally dodges everything with 0 effort. Langus drops his jaw. Zeke actually praises her wild fighting style, but she just screams at him to fight back properly, so he grants her wish. He throws one clean punch, slamming her down, genuinely confused why she cannot even scratch him. He calmly explains that sure, she is way faster than any 1-star fighter he has seen, but ultimately she is still stuck at level 1. He breaks it down, watching her breathing, the tiny muscle twitches, even the shift in her eyes. Reading that is just basic combat experience. Furious Laika refuses to quit and launches another desperate strike, only to get brutally slammed into the dirt again. Honestly, he is impressed. She actually gathered true source power in her core just to survive that heavy impact. Langus tries to interrupt, but Zeke sharply tells him to step back. Suddenly, a massive aura erupts. The crazy kid just broke through to the 2-star level. At this new tier, fighters can force true source power completely outside their body for martial arts, creating a deadly aura. She smirks, claiming the hero's beating actually pushed her past her limits, and now she thinks he is totally done for. He launches a super fast strike that finally catches him. That is where we leave. It makes you wonder how he survives next, right? Let's dive right in. Our boy is facing a totally new style of True Thunder Spirit Great Sword Arts, and he's absolutely pumped. Laika unleashes her Thunder Raid technique and a blinding Thunder Light Flash Strike. First, he's loving it. But reality hits fast, her level is insanely high, and surviving this much lightning in his current state won't be easy. Just a 1-star gap creates this massive difference in power. Her movements look simple just like they did before, but the second she hits that 2-star level, the Thunder Spirit Great Sword Art absolutely explodes. She was already fast, but now she's a blur. The crazy part is the lightning trap wrapping around her body. 1,000 years ago, that was straight up impossible. Our guy can't even counterattack right now. He's totally unsure about this wild power, yet he's still grinning like an absolute maniac. That smug confidence seriously pisses her off, so she just keeps blasting him with non-stop lightning strikes. Against all odds, he stays on his feet. Pushed by Langus, Laika offers to stop if he begs for mercy and swears absolute loyalty. Obviously, he refuses, so she vows to use every drop of her power to finish this fight completely. Then it drops the Thunder Spirit's first secret art technique, Heavenly Thunder. Watch this next part closely. He's down, the match is called, but shocker, Zeke stands right back up, tanking raw electricity and leaving everyone completely speechless. He casually explains he took those hits on purpose just to study them. And yeah, get this now, he can use them himself. While absorbing all those brutal attacks, he was secretly spamming his Dragon King breathing technique. This fully reacted with her lightning energy. Now, pure lightning is generating inside his body, and he's effortlessly controlling it without even thinking twice. He doesn't know all the nerdy details, but he figures her entire clan just has a very special physical constitution. By fusing both insane techniques, he literally learns the ultimate lesson. Plus, thanks to getting blasted by Laika, he just leveled up to 2 stars. Oh yeah, this fight is far from over. Zeke is finally feeling the wild rush of 2-star strength, and he'll master its secrets soon enough. Langus is sweating bullets watching these monster heirs clash, especially since those lightning strikes can't even touch our boy anymore. The battle rages on, but after a bit, Zeke just decides it's time to end things by creating a brand new special form technique. While she's distracted, he charges right in. Boom, he unleashes his special form dragon slaying arts, landing a massive blow that takes her down instantly. I know you feel bad for her here. Laika is totally stunned by her defeat, especially since she desperately needs to surpass her brothers to lead. Impressed, the hero praises her combat skills with a big, genuine smile. He hypes her up to keep learning, promising this isn't their final clash and she'll get another shot at him someday. Zeke offers a rematch for later, but Laika now sees him as a totally unbeatable monster. Hours later, inside the fissure, Lord Balsa is training his dragon combat arts first form. Suddenly, a guard interrupts. He reports that his daughter just hit the 2-star level, insane for her age, meaning she could hit 4 or 5 stars by graduation. But the Lord totally unbothered. He orders the guard to stop wasting his time until she actually masters that raw talent herself. Then the soldier drops the bomb she was just defeated. And the guy who beat her, his own son, Lord Zeke. Balsa isn't shocked. Zeke's mother had a crazy talent for battle even though she passed away long before he grew up. The real mystery here is simple. Who actually taught this kid enough skills to completely humiliate a 2-star fighter? But the guard confirms the craziest part: Lord Zeke reached this level completely alone without any teachings. Hearing this, Lord Balsa immediately commands the premature start of the first trial. Most students haven't even hit 1 star yet, but to him the rules are equal for everyone. Kind or not, if they can't survive this first brutal trial, they have absolutely zero future here. He declares them completely unworthy of Elragon. He orders them to summon Freya back to oversee the trial and keep a close eye on everything. Next day brings normal dragon combat arts training. Our hero is perfectly mastering the Ibuki Dragon Breath. Created by the 15th generation, this is officially classified as a combat art. But honestly, it's just a solid body enhancement technique that even kids can learn. Langus asks why he isn't training, but Zeke already mastered it. Langus is completely stunned because this was only taught a few hours ago. Zeke makes him turn around, developing a channeling route to directly transfer his energy. His friend is super impressed. He figures this basic training must be insanely boring since Zeke literally just defeated Lady Laika. The Dragon Slayer combat technique offers overwhelming power, especially combined with that new special form born from his wild battle against Laika. Trust me, we haven't seen anything yet. A final form that slays divine dragons. Zeke is beyond curious to master these wild techniques next. Stick with me here. Since Zeke mastered every dragon combat art, he is back to regular physical training. Langus steps up and begs for lessons. He desperately wants to grow stronger. Zeke actually agrees, figuring his buddy has enough potential to be worth the effort. Next thing you know, Laika asks for training too. Getting totally crushed by him earlier lit a fire under her, and she wants to get strong enough to surprise her brother and Zeke. He says yes, but points out the obvious. Those injuries from their fight should have left her bedridden for at least a month. Hey, magic healing potions exist, so she is already completely good to go. Without it, she would definitely be stuck resting. She double-checks if he is actually okay with teaching her, instead of doing his own solo practice. Our guy is more than ready to coach both young prodigies. He asks if her pride is okay with learning from the guy who beat her. But honestly, she will do literally anything to get stronger and claim that family leadership. Zeke is genuinely curious. Why is she so completely obsessed with becoming the head? She drops a heavy truth bomb. If she fails to win leadership under family customs, she will be forced into an arranged marriage. Best case scenario, marrying a cousin. Worst case, being sold off to a total stranger. This seriously ticks Zeke off. Treating people like literal breeding stock makes his blood boil. Suddenly, an announcement blares out. A brand new instructor just arrived to guide the students, supposedly taking time out of a super busy schedule. Everyone better show some respect. Freya steps up, instantly analyzing Laika's razor-sharp aura. Meet Freya Wingkick, an elite member of the legendary Black Dragon Corps. She gives a warm greeting but spots Zeke, asking why he does not look surprised at all. He casually replies there is nothing to shock him, pointing out her hidden skills. Suddenly, Freya completely understands why the family head was sweating over this kid. Zeke is actually analyzing her footwork, noticing she makes zero sound even in those heavy boots. Now pay attention because this test is wild. They must grab crystal orbs and survive 1 full month on poisonous Dragon Mountain. The place is crawling with deadly beasts. Even just brushing against the wrong weed will drop you dead instantly. Funny enough, Zeke used to train there in his past life. Rules are brutal. If your orb breaks or gets stolen, you are instantly disqualified and kicked out of the academy. She tells them to use the dragon breath technique to survive. Keep the orb perfectly safe and they might just live. As for the toxic monsters, she cheerfully suggests killing them for food, otherwise they will starve over the month. They have exactly 5 days left to pick and learn a basic Elragon family martial art. Having a solid fighting style is basically their only shot at making this survival test easier. If someone slacks off and cannot learn it in 5 days, she takes zero responsibility for them. One of the innocent kids actually asks if she will step in and save them from danger. This is the Elragon family, only the absolute strongest get to survive. If you lose, you die. I know what you are thinking, totally messed up, right? Even Zeke wonders how the family got this dark. Right on cue, Freya casually hands out the training manuals for every weapon. Langus is totally stressing over which weapon to pick. Zeke steps in, telling him to stick with the spear from earlier. He even tells Laika to grab an axe to cover her blind spots. Freya then leaves them with one warning: train hard or literally die. Oh, and plot twist. During the exam, older students will actively try to hunt them down and steal their orbs. The forest is massive, so running into an upperclassman is rare, but pure panic is still ripping through the freshmen. Zeke tells his crew to party up if they cannot handle flying solo. He is definitely going solo, but invites them for food first. 5 days flash by exam time. Standing at the edge of the deadly forest, Langus nervously gulps, saying it is time. Laika nods back, fully focused. The kid is having major imposter syndrome. He mutters about everyone being rich nobles while he is just a basic commoner. His teammates pop up from behind. They remind him he is on the exact same level now. Celine steps up, totally shocked they get to team up with Laika. But Laika stays cool, reminding everyone they were picked for raw talent, not status. That fires them up. Langus grips his rod tight, swearing to go all out. Raymond promises to meet her high expectations. Laika smiles, knowing she can count on this squad. She turns to Zeke. Is he seriously still going in entirely alone? He nods with total confidence, making everyone else look incredibly nervous. Laika admits she is anxious too, but Zeke just raises a brow. Trust me, you and I are going to love watching this. Alright, stick with me here. She questions him uncertainly, but he grins, promising an easy test, while Langus mutters about Zeke being way too confident. The new instructor steps right up, grabbing everyone's attention. She looks them over, praising their tight formation. Teamwork, she says, is their only ticket to survival. She collects their crystal orbs, warning them. They have to protect identical ones for a whole month, up on the deadly poison mountains. Zeke just wonders if a lost orb can be replaced. Freya explains the catch. Senior students are waiting up there, ready to steal their precious crystals. One panicked kid asks about those without a single star, while another brags it sounds super easy. Freya just smirks and orders the crazy exam to officially start. The mad dash begins. Laika turns, promising to catch up with Zeke later, then orders her squad out. He just waves back calmly. Freya asks if he is nervous. With a faint smile, he says he is completely fine, stepping forward as she watches him closely. Moonlight hits the mountain. An officer beside her questions if this exam is too brutal. Another officer agrees. These kids barely have any real combat experience. Who is actually going to survive this? Freya claims the mountain monsters are weak enough for teamwork to handle. The officer nods, but Freya mumbles something shady about releasing a certain beast. He asks what she just said, but she totally plays it off and sends another team in. Deep in the jungle, an enemy team spots a solo student. One archer immediately fires a shot. Zeke casually catches the arrow and smirks. The attackers murmur in total disbelief. Now watch closely, he dashes right at them, gesturing for the real game to begin. Meanwhile, Celine is smashing monsters. A beast jumps from behind, but Raymond shields her and bashes it. Langus charges and piercing another creature with his heavy spear. Laika praises their teamwork. But when they look her way, jaws drop. A massive mountain of dead frog monsters is already piled around her. They are totally shocked she wiped out that many alone. She just laughs softly, saying her 2-star rank definitely helps. She mentions they both earned a star this week. Langus looks totally down, but the crew hypes him up, promising he will get his soon. Laika agrees, saying beating frog monsters without a star is huge. She praises his spear skills after training with Zeke, then orders a retreat before dark. Almost back at base, Laika suddenly stops dead. A senior student is waiting right ahead. The upperclassman just smirks. Laika asks if he is here for their orbs. The squad completely freezes, and Raymond readies his shield. The senior laughs, admitting the whole test is about stealing orbs, though he didn't expect her first. Laika gives him one warning to back off, knowing he cannot take them all on alone. Suddenly, 3 more seniors jump out. The leader draws his sword, lunging at her and demanding surrender. She easily dodges as the others charge. Raymond quickly raises his massive shield. Celine fights back hard. Langus is barely holding on as his opponent aggressively demands that shiny crystal. You and I both know exactly whose advice Langus is remembering right about now. Zeke once told him that beating 3 stronger seniors was impossible. But there was one crazy loophole. When Langus had asked how, Zeke just smiled and told him to exploit a tiny opening. Langus asked how to even find one. The answer: just endure. Survive until they slip up, because a weaker fighter cannot create an opening themselves. Clenching his fists, Langus had seriously doubted if he could take that much punishment. Zeke explained that pure endurance wins fights. Outlasting a stronger enemy through sheer patience beats raw strength every single time. He joked that Laika was the only exception there. Just trust yourself and stop overthinking, Zeke had said. Wait for that one perfect second, then strike hard. Back in the present, Langus grits his teeth. The senior finally drops his guard for 1 second, and Langus drives his heavy spear straight through. Meanwhile, Laika is absolutely destroying her own opponent. The senior tries to block, realizing her raw power completely eclipses his, despite both having 2 stars. Knowing Zeke's advice works perfectly, she finishes him with one brutal strike. She rushes right over to her squad, checking if everyone is okay. The team goes wild. Celine hypes Langus up for unlocking his star while he stands there shocked. Laika smiles, realizing that with everyone powered up they can easily survive. She casually wonders aloud what Zeke is doing. Far away, a terrified girl is running for her life, screaming about a monster. Her entire squad lies crushed on the ground, with Zeke standing tall. Those scattering upperclassmen are running terrified, and trust me, we are going to love seeing what happens next. These guys just ran into an absolute monster who casually wrecked their entire squad. Let's dive into this madness. Our boy Zeke is chilling, calling them cowards. He basically said, "I am not trapped here with you, you are trapped with me." These upperclassmen are sprinting faster than Olympic athletes just to escape a so-called inferior first year. They were supposed to be hunting him, but the tables totally flipped. One of the guys panics, slips, and hits the dirt. It plays out like straight-up horror. Zeke stares down at him, coldly ordering the guy to get up and actually fight. His glowing golden eyes pierce right through his soul. The upperclassman regrets every life choice he ever made, literally passing out from pure terror. Honestly, a death glare from Batman probably feels exactly like this to his enemies. Zeke is honestly disappointed. Breaking this squad apart was way too easy, especially after they acted so incredibly tough when trying to jump him earlier. Catching someone spying from the shadows, Zeke casually calls out for the creep to show themselves. When they refuse to step out, he just takes it as a green light. No rules broken means he is completely free to do whatever he wants. It turns out the person spying from the bushes is actually an upperclassman captain. This captain is utterly speechless. A mere first year just wiped the floor with his guys, and then flawlessly detected a high-level stealth watcher like him. Completely intrigued by this freak of nature, the captain heads back to report. He returns to the scarlet-haired beauty demanding an update. Her subordinates break down everything from the start. In just 1 week of the exam, 32% of the students already dropped out, but the survivors are adapting to the harsh mountain fast. The dropout rate is stabilizing. But the second she asks how her upperclassmen hunters are doing, her men completely freeze up, hesitant to answer. The captain, who watched the whole massacre, finally admits that the upperclassmen are fleeing for their lives. The instructor is absolutely stunned. It makes zero sense, mostly because there are not any monsters on this mountain strong enough to threaten those advanced students. So why the heck are they running away? The captain drops one single name. Watch closely because this is wild. Zeke himself became the catastrophe, hunting down the seniors like bugs. Nobody dares get near him. He is slicing through their ranks, relentlessly turning the hunters into his prey. It is an absolutely abnormal situation. The instructors have never witnessed anything like this before. Even factoring in his bloodline as the patriarch's son, this kid is unhinged. Forget prodigy. He is a generational anomaly, a literal monster wearing a first-year uniform. The instructor suddenly remembers her own brief, very weird interaction with him. She realizes his solo strategy was completely intentional. He moved alone specifically to unleash total hell on his attackers. Simply put, our guy never planned on playing the victim. He was absolutely thrilled to be the predator. Her massive hype for Zeke captures the squad's attention right until they notice a heavy delivery arriving at their camp. Freya orders the workers to unload it immediately, leaving her squad completely confused about what crazy scheme she is pulling next. This woman loves cranking up the difficulty. Now she is preparing to unleash a massive 3-star level monster onto the field, a beast so strong not even upperclassmen can survive it. The sadistic instructor assures her team she tweaked it. The monster is heavily conditioned to only attack students at the 2-star level or higher, so basically, all the regular 0 and 1-star rookies will be completely ignored. But why escalate things this far? Plot twist: Freya reveals it is a direct order from Lord Elragon, the head of the family himself. You and I both know what this means. She wants to see if Zeke is truly the monster everyone claims. Wondering if he can survive something this brutal, she commands her men to unleash the giant creature right at dawn. Morning breaks. Instantly, Langus and Celine feel the entire forest floor shaking. Lady Laika's sharp instincts flare up. Something way nastier than those upperclassmen is heading right for them. At first, Langus just assumes a large typical monster is passing through the area. But Laika knows better. The heavy, terrifying rumbling shakes the ground, putting the whole squad on high alert as panic sets in. Laika looks back just as a massive tree topples over, screaming at everyone to dodge out of the way immediately. Luckily, she grabs Celine while Raymond dives in to shield Langus. The team barely escapes getting crushed to death. Covered in dust from the massive impact, Laika tightens her grip, ready to fight. Behind her, Langus and the rest stare up in absolute frozen horror. Looming over them is an insanely huge stone golem, a beast they never expected to see roaming around a student exam zone. Trust me, we have all had rough tests, but fighting a stone golem is the ultimate out-of-syllabus question. Meanwhile, our main guy is chilling somewhere totally different, just sitting on a pile of monster corpses and knocked-out seniors. You and I both know this screams that epic Arthur scene from the beginning after the end. But honestly, our guy is just bored to tears right now. He is basically the Gojo of this exam, completely overpowered with zero competition. But then out of nowhere, he senses something dark and heavy in the distance. This is not your average mob. It is way above the standard class levels, making him seriously wonder if the instructor is sending him some kind of hidden message. Still dropping this beast on kids who are 2 stars at best, absolute madness. Plus, Instructor Freya really should have warned everyone about this before the exam even started. Then it hits him. That sadistic woman let it loose on purpose. What is her game plan here? Whatever. perfect excuse to cure his boredom. Suddenly motivated, he jumps right off his throne of victims and makes that 3-star beast his next target. Only problem: it is going to take a while to get there. It is miles away. Meanwhile, back at the Golem massacre, Celine swings her sword hard at the stone monster, but obviously her blade just bounces right off its rock-solid body. The beast does not take a single scratch. Then Raymond gets main character syndrome and bashes his shield against it. Still nothing. Finally, Lady Laika goes full Zenitsu mode, charging up her lightning-style Thunder Flash technique. Even that epic ultimate move barely leaves a dent. Here is where you and I need to pay attention. Only pure aura attacks can crack this golem. Anyone weaker than her, completely useless right now. Langus panics, begging for a plan. So she rallies the squad and pitches a crazy idea: she will play decoy so they can run away. Nobody wants to agree to this. Running away means leaving her to die alone. Laika shuts that down, basically calling them weak NPCs who will just drag her down. Even her strongest aura strike barely scratched it. So no, their little power of friendship, Naruto mindset, is not going to save the day here. She is absolutely right, they cannot kill it. But Raymond still steps forward, raising his heavy shield. He promises to tank the hits so she can land her attacks. Laika thinks he is being completely reckless, but Langus and Celine jump in too, ready to back her up if she can just deal some real damage. The whole teamwork vibe actually works. She caves, ordering her squad to run cover while she charges up. Laika blitzes forward, wrapped in thunderous aura. The golem instantly swings to crush her into the dirt, but Raymond steps in, taking the massive blow head-on. Even with his shield blocking, just one hit completely paralyzes him. He drops back to recover, while Langus and Celine tag in, throwing rapid attacks to distract the monster. This creates the perfect opening. Laika launches herself into the air for a devastating strike from behind. She activates her Thunder Spirit, sword arts, absolutely hammering the giant with divine lightning that lights up the sky. When the dust settles, the monster is totally gone. Langus runs over to catch Laika, who looks completely exhausted. That final trump card drained every ounce of her energy. But hey, at least the beast is dead, right? She smiles, glad they survived. But we both know the golden rule, right? Never celebrate too early. Boom, the golem suddenly bursts out of the smoke, reaching a giant hand toward the unguarded, Laika violently snatching her up. Her friends are too shocked to move. She realizes her fatal mistake: always confirm the kill. Celine is absolutely terrified that this rock beast tanked a literal mini nuke. Meanwhile, Langus decides to play the hotshot hero. He charges in with his spear to save her. But the golem just casually rips her away, making Langus scream out. Out of nowhere, a massive tree falls from the sky, flying right at the golem like a missile. The sheer weight of the trunk completely crushes the monster, knocking Laika free instantly. Langus and the group grab her and sprint for safety, totally clueless about what just happened. Enter Zeke, making an epic arrival. He ignores his friends, absolutely hyped to crush his next victim. Right before this chaos, he actually spotted Laika dropping her massive final attack from miles away. He knew her squad was fighting the beast, but realized he was way too far to reach them in time. Back in his prime era, he could have just teleported over there with completely broken speed. Laika and her squad are strong, sure, but taking down a 3-star monster, impossible. This is just pure survival for them. A pure wipeout countdown. But stick around, because our guy just decided to test out something crazy. He jams his fingers deep into a massive tree, ripping it straight from the earth with absolute god-tier super strength. So Zeke chucks a literal tree into the stratosphere, totally hoping it turns into a ballistic missile and flattens the giant monster. Now, you and I might see a flying log, but trust me, this tree-tossing technique actually runs so much deeper. It stems straight from the dragon nurturing arts. Before the exam, students get the Elragon Combat Manual. It is not exactly some elite fighting style, just a basic booklet showing them how to unlock and use their strength efficiently. But the crazy thing is this actually worked out perfectly for Zeke. Back in his past life, he always loved opening fights with massive long-range attacks anyway. After launching that massive tree, bro keeps running. Back to the present, he casually waves at his friends who are absolutely stunned. Langus panics about the deadly golem coming to crush them. But run away, no chance. Our boy is actually hyped to challenge a strong monster. Weirdly enough, the massive creature has 0 life force, even though its imposing presence is everywhere. Right in the middle of his casual chat, this 3-star behemoth throws a devastating punch. And boom, it slams Zeke head-on. Watch closely with me because this part is wild. The kid catches it one-handed. His genius battle IQ immediately tells him normal physical attacks will never scratch this big boss. He could easily just erase it using aura, but where is the fun in ending things that fast? Laika just stares, watching him casually toy with the exact same monster that nearly killed them. The angry golem tries to crush him with both hands. Zeke just calmly notes how incredibly fast the monster is for its giant size. He blocks the heavy slam effortlessly, only feeling a tiny bit of discomfort in the process. Since they might get caught in the crossfire, Zeke tells his friends to stand back so they quickly scramble out of there. Now free to go completely all out, Zeke casually shifts his stance and literally flings a giant monster that is 10 times his own size. But there is still that super tough outer shell to deal with. He starts wondering if the golem is equally armored on the inside. To test that crazy theory out, he charges up a massive punch and blazingly hammers the golem. This is the first form of the Dragon Destroyer combat arts. He combos it with a second-style burst to absolutely pulverize the golem inside. That explosive burst does not just shatter the outer shell, it literally liquefies the giant creature entirely from the inside out. And just like that, bro one-shots the terrifying boss with a single attack, finally having a little bit of fun today. 1 whole month flashes by since the exam ended, and you and I finally arrive at the massive Elragon family main estate. Here, our boy gets summoned, which naturally annoys him. Looking back on the exam, he notes that nothing really interesting happened after he smashed that golem. His class of 7-year-olds lost 30% of their numbers. But those who survived faced actual death and broke through to the 1-star level. Right after the test wrapped up, Zeke was forcefully called in to meet the patriarch, his father. Walking through the quiet halls, he grumbles about it. Meanwhile, Freya frantically reminds the kid to show the patriarch basic respect. She completely goes off on him, yelling about how his crazy behavior during the exam basically guaranteed his doom, but our clueless boy genuinely has no idea what she means. As far as he knows, he did nothing wrong. Freya practically screams at him for absolutely destroying the upperclassmen test. He hunted them down for sport when it was not even required. Thanks to his little rampage, not a single upperclassman managed to grab a crystal orb for their own personal test. They all have to retake the entire exam. That is exactly how badly he humiliated them. Freya is losing her mind over this and begs him to fix his super disrespectful attitude before seeing the head. They finally reach the giant door. The whole reason she is desperately begging him to be humble is simple. If he talks back, the patriarch will literally erase him from existence. Lord Elragon is completely ruthless. He does not care if they are kids, and Freya really hates the idea of Zeke getting slaughtered. Honestly, even our boy feels slightly intimidated hearing that. Before stepping into his chambers, Freya loudly announces her rank and purpose. The boss grants them permission, so they walk in. Our completely nonchalant boy just stares blankly at the terrifying man sitting there. It is his very first encounter with the family head. Lord Elragon looks annoyed, skips the greetings entirely, and straight up demands to know why he attacked the seniors. Remaining super casual, Zeke just rolls his eyes and asks if attacking them actually broke any rules. His response totally baffles the patriarch. The kid doubles down, arguing that the only stated condition was to survive 30 days with the crystal orb fully intact. So, what do we take from this? Our boy is fearless. Zeke straight up roasts his terrifying dad, arguing he should have explained those stupid rules before the exam started. Freya's frozen face says it all. Trust me, you and I aren't ready for this madness. Freya is shaking because she warned him not to argue while his dad's terrifying aura pins her down. Just this overwhelming, suffocating pressure alone is enough to drop her. Feeling this killer intent, she is dead certain Zeke is about to get murdered. But Zeke, he feels absolutely nothing. He even mocks his old man for throwing a tantrum over tiny things. The patriarch is completely dumbfounded. His aura isn't doing a single thing. He demands answers, asking how a kid beat up an entire squad of seniors and smashed a 3-star golem to pieces. If that wasn't crazy enough, this 7-year-old just shrugged off his legendary bone-crushing pressure. It makes zero sense to him. How does a kid possess this kind of terrifying power? Zeke notices his dad prying into his secrets. So instead of explaining anything real, he just shrugs and calls himself a natural-born genius. Pure arrogance meets pure arrogance. Father and son just glaring each other down. Lord Elragon sighs. He admits the boy is reckless, just like the reports claimed, but beating a golem is still a massive win. His reward, a legendary item from the Dragon Treasury or elite access to the 2nd floor of the Dragon Hall. Now watch closely, because this blew my mind. He goes from almost murdering his kid to offering prizes. Let's break down those options. Dragon Hall and Treasury are basically the ultimate vaults, stacked with 1,000 years of priceless loot from the era of Gelos himself. We're talking endless ancient books, including the heavily forbidden ones of today, and the treasury, packed with god-tier weapons, artifacts, and absolutely anything you need. These spots are the family's crown jewels. Security is so tight that only a lucky handful of top students ever get to peek inside. That 2nd floor of the Dragon Hall, you need massive legendary achievements to enter. Freya is losing her mind right now. This kid acts like a total brat and gets rewarded. Pushing his luck, Zeke smirks and taunts his dad to just give him both. Lord Elragon snaps and orders him out, but the kid straight up ignores him, whining that he has more questions. Freya realizes this clown is about to talk his way into an early grave, so she grabs him fast, dragging him away like a stressed-out mom saving her toddler. But Zeke drops one last highly disrespectful bomb. He totally humiliates his old man, claiming that burying his emotions will only keep him from ever becoming the absolute strongest fighter. Right then, Lord Elragon feels a terrifying flash of Zeke's true aura, potential that actually rivals his own. Freya quickly shuts him up and hauls him off, leaving Elragon completely stunned by that monster presence. Cut to the next scene. The instructor is absolutely losing it, screaming at this idiot for disrespecting the boss like that. Zeke tried to play nice, but honestly, he gave up. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. If this was him holding back, imagine what he almost said. Freya is just baffled. Why is he perfectly polite to his teachers but absolutely ruthless to his dad? Between his insane strength and chaotic attitude, she knows he isn't normal. She even questions who he really is. Trolling as usual, Zeke says he's just himself. Freya thinks to herself, every single family member drinks ancient dragon blood at birth. The family head literally radiates the power of a superior dragon. Biologically, nobody should be able to resist his wrath. Yet this tiny kid not only talked back, but completely held his ground against it. He is definitely hiding something. Highly suspicious, she plans to dig up his files. Shifting gears, she asks which reward he'll take. Making the cutest, most punchable face, he demands both, completely pissing Freya off again. Ultimately, Zeke locks in his final choice. He is chasing after pure knowledge. Being reincarnated 1,000 years into the future leaves a massive gap in his modern world understanding. He desperately needs to catch up on how far medicine and technology have actually evolved. His #1 fanboy Langus is absolutely hyped about entering the Dragon Hall. They're both thrilled. Langus already mastered dragon slaying and nurturing spear techniques. This vault is his golden ticket to learning a brand new martial art. Lady Laika shows up, warning them to hurry the heck up because they're on a strict timer. The first floor only holds basic stuff, and they can only borrow one single book at a time. They have to choose incredibly wisely. Meanwhile, Laika finally hears about Zeke's elite personal reward, choosing between the legendary treasury or the ancient hall. So what do you and I make of this? Everyone's stunned. He chose books over weapons, but we know better. Stick with me here. Our guy definitely would have done that, but he's massively behind on modern knowledge. Those second-floor books are the absolute best part. They're way rarer than the first floor, and only Zeke gets access to this tier. Laika still thinks nothing in there beats her Thunderclap greatsword art. While she's out here hyping herself up, Zeke completely zones out. Next up, the hall supervisor drops a timer on them. They only get 5 hours inside. Honestly, it's pretty hard to tell if that's a long time. Anyway, Laika drops a strategy. Pick one solid book to borrow, then speed read through the unborrowable ones for the rest of the time. Fast readers would absolutely feast here. But Langus, he just wants to lock onto a martial arts manual for 3 solid hours. Picking the perfect book for everyone is tough, especially in a library this ridiculously massive. Teleported inside the party absolutely loses it over the Dragon Hall's glory. It blows past even Zeke's wildest expectations. He instantly sets his sights on finding an absolute beast of a book. And just like that, the crazy reading grind begins. Zeke goes completely feral the second he grabs those books. Bro is out here speedrunning through pure magic and chaos lore. It's way too much juicy info to drop. 1,000 years left one hell of a mark. Watch closely because this is huge. In that time, their world actually connected with another dimension. 900 years ago, a massive crack shattered their reality, tearing open a dimensional wall called a rift. Out poured the chaos realm, Khans. A terrifying world crawling with monsters literally born from pure chaos. To survive that nightmare, the people of Zeke's world figured out how to forge primal energies inside their bodies. The Elragon family led humanity's pushback against the chaos tides, forging massive alliances on the bloody battlefield. 4 elite warriors married into the Elragon house, straight up creating the Typhon, Fafnir, Leviathan, and Bahamut factions. Today, they're known as the 4 great Elragon families. It all suddenly clicks. Remember that Angerbor Zeke fought, totally covered in that same dark energy. Even Laika's lightning aura gives off that vibe. All of it traces back to another dimension. But the coolest part, the evolution of magic. Linking to a dark reality spawned a totally new brand of techniques. Unfortunately, our guy cannot find a single book explaining this new crazy technique. Something this epic should be celebrated. His hype gets so loud, the supervisor snaps at him, demanding the boy keep it down in the library. But here's the weird thing, nobody's standing near him yet, he still heard the voice clearly. Zeke instantly wonders, is this the new magic? A crazy technique that literally travels straight through voice. Problem is, aside from feeling like basic primal energy, he can't figure out what makes it special. Suddenly, all his books start glowing yellow, straight up levitating in the air by themselves. Zeke totally loses his cool. He's absolutely having a blast with this technique. The supervisor yells at him again, but Zeke is too hyped. And I know what you're thinking, he's about to level up, right? Nope, because while he's cheering, the library suddenly attacks. Glowing ether threads tie him up before straight yeeting him outside. Zeke barely sticks the superhero landing, totally confused about what the heck just went down. Bro just wants to learn that ether move. He literally demands the guy do it again. Langus is completely lost. Meanwhile, Laika is just wondering why Zeke was the only one who got thrown out. Luckily, Langus scored big. He borrowed an epic martial arts manual called the Cloud Spear technique. Then we have Celine locking down a movement art and the Wind Blossom sword technique. Raymond put in work too, practicing the Elragon Guardian sword style. Plus he snagged a shield skills book. Basically, they all learned the exact same martial arts Zeke casually invented in his past life while trolling. Finally, he turns to Laika, super curious about what she managed to score. He flexes a book on the Heavy Wave Greatsword technique, upgraded by the 15th Lord. Hearing about this 15th generation again makes Zeke wonder what's so special about them. Turns out that Lord literally created the Dragon Slayer combat arts. See, our boy created a massive pile of techniques that became legendary manuscripts here, but heavily improved versions of his original goofy drafts. This 15th Lord actually pushed his skills to the next level, seriously impressing Zeke himself. You and I both know school was supposed to be boring, but now he's totally hyped, and trust me, this journey is just getting started. Alright, you and I are jumping 5 whole years into the future. Right now, 12-year-old Laika is scanning the area trying to track down Zeke and her friends. Langus gives her the heads up. Our boy is busy over at the training grounds. And speaking of the grounds, Zeke is casually squaring off against 3 friends at once. By 12, his strength is absolutely off the charts. Meanwhile, his dad just got some massive news. A brand new special rift has officially appeared. Standing before him is Commander A of the Black Dragon Corps. He already scouted the rift, suspecting it holds precious magic water. But the catch? It spawned in a super controversial spot. Basically, magic water is pure gold for any noble house. It actually awakens magic, converting a person's raw ether source straight into true, undeniable magic power. This stuff literally evolves the world. But naturally, it causes endless bloody territorial wars over magic springs. In this crazy era, mage numbers completely dictate a house's total military strength. Tragically, the Elragon house doesn't own a single magic spring right now. That makes them absolutely desperate to conquer this special rift. One popping up in their territory is basically the ultimate golden opportunity. Currently, only a tiny handful in Eldra territory, including Balsa, are mages. They are all hardcore veterans who awakened through older rifts. Since houses with springs totally crush everyone else through sheer numbers, locking down this rift is top priority. Now pay attention here. The rift is inside the abandoned dragon forest, right where a border clash is brewing. Most of the forest sits in Elragon territory, yeah, but it creeps into land claimed by another house who call it the Abundant Hound Forest. Yep, the Cerberus house. Commander A confirms the bad news. Technically, the rift is on their side, but it bleeds right into Cerberus land too. Knowing their greedy reputation, Cerberus house will definitely try to steal it. Balsa totally agrees. Being a special rift, both sides have super limited options. They have to play this territorial dispute incredibly carefully. They must strike before the enemy does. So he orders a massive announcement. Every single Dragon Nest student is entering a selection trial. Commander A obeys instantly. Meanwhile, our boy and his crew are still sparring, completely going all out. Celine unleashes her Windflower, sword art, scattering blossom everywhere. Raymond throws his Stonewall Fist while Langus triggers his Water Piercer. All 3 charge Zeke at once, but he stays perfectly calm, tackling and cleanly blocking every single attack. He praises their hustle, but calls out Langus. Being way too tense is completely killing his spear technique's strength. For Celine, she is way too obsessed with speed and combo numbers. Her power falls flat. She desperately needs to find a balance. Raymond is actually doing great, but he really needs to push the offense instead of just hiding behind his solid defense. Smiling, he challenges them to come at him once again. From the sidelines, Laika points out the absolute insanity here. He is tanking those attacks head-on, without even tapping into his true source energy. Casually dodging Raymond, our guy reminds her this is purely training. It builds super sturdy bodies without relying on true source power. Giving up on his weird behavior, she sighs. He should probably stop the kids from attacking while they are literally trying to talk. You saw that too, right? Raymond and Celine are absolutely mind-blown by Zeke's crazy defense without any true source. Laika jokes our dude isn't even human anymore. The seniors literally call him the monster prodigy of the East Wing. Cutting to the chase, he asks why she is actually here. Looking to train, or is it something else? She wouldn't mind training, sure, but she actually came to drop a warning. They might soon be facing the other Dragon Nest kids. That totally stops the sparring session. Celine assumes it is another exam, but their princess is completely in the dark about the gathering's real purpose. She just noticed the instructors acting weird. Our boy simply declares he never cares about that stuff, but she instantly warns him. They are about to meet the other major candidate for the headship straight from the West Wing. A few days pass and all students gather up. Freya steps forward, telling everyone to shut up. Commanding total silence, she drops an absolute bomb. In exactly 3 days, they are fighting the kids from the other dragon nests. Heavy murmurs erupt through the crowd. I mean, something this massive usually only happens during major graduation exams. Freya skips the boring explanations. She simply announces that whoever survives this brutal match gets a super special mission that instantly hooks our boy. His eyes literally turn into shining stars just thinking about bagging such an epic important task. She explains the intense format. It is a winner-stays-on battle. Each wing, south, north, west, and east will send exactly 7 elite fighters. Everyone figures those 7 spots belong to top-year students, which completely begs the question, why even gather the first-year weaklings here today? Moments after Freya leaves, a cocky top-year student named Rick boldly steps up to challenge the crowd. He demands 7 specific seniors take those spots. So what do you and I think happens next? Alright, stick with me here. Laika steps up as a match candidate. Rick is super arrogant. He thinks her fancy noble bloodline won't ever bridge the massive power gap against the seniors. In response, the Ladragon princess just accepts, flashing her 3 stars. The seniors completely freeze. They figured she only had 2. She demands the strongest step up, challenging anyone with more power. Rick admits she is special but still treats the other juniors like total trash. That is when our main guy steps in, complaining about the noise. After some bickering, he drops a dark suggestion fight for the final 7. His half-sister hates the violent vibe. Instead, she suggests holding open preliminaries for any volunteer no matter their year. Got confidence, show your power. Plan settled, she immediately turns to her crew. Our hero instantly agrees, though his timid buddy hesitates. Zeke simply reminds him of all their brutal training. Despite the crazy heavy pressure, the whole squad jumps in. Laika scans the massive crowd. Crickets. Nobody else wants the seniors. So it is our core squad versus the arrogant upperclassmen. Zeke wants to see what these seniors are packing. Preliminaries start, and the older guys are oozing fake confidence. They truly believe these juniors are just weak, selfish brats. They figure besides the princess, everyone is a weak 2-star. Meanwhile, our boys' squad is looking seriously nervous. Langus freaks over the 3-star seniors, but Zeke reminds them they have literally trained with him for 5 years. Have some faith, that hype speech works perfectly. Suddenly, the seniors charge in, swords raised, ready to crush these brats. Watch closely, this is wild. The crowd simply gasps as Zeke's crew absolutely destroys them. Zeke smiles so proud. Langus is incredibly sharp now, perfectly deflecting hits and finding weak spots. Celine beautifully executes the multi-strike windflower sword style. Raymond's tactics. Total evolution, swapping flawlessly between heavy shield moves and swordplay. Plus, Laika is on a completely different power level than before. Seeing the seniors drop like flies, Rick loses it. He screams that bridging a 3-star gap is completely impossible. Zeke steps right up. He tells Rick his boys just got wrecked, so stop spouting absolute nonsense. Sure, age equals stars. But real raw strength, that is what actually wins a fight. The senior screams back, highly insulted that Zeke ignores the basic math of stars equaling power. Our boy goes totally dark. Stars or no stars, if your heart gets destroyed, it is game over. Stop denying reality, man. In a real battle, the only thing that actually matters is results. Rick refuses to back down, claiming he only went easy because they are kids. But Zeke is completely done talking. He demands this so-called upperclassman show his true power, especially since they are the very last 2 standing on the field. Rick takes the bait. He lunges with a heavy fist technique but completely misses. Our hero just casually punches him away. Zeke mockingly claps for the effort. His sister chimes in, brutally calling him out for being all talk. Rick missed everything. Now let's pause for a second. Over at the West Wing, the ground is literally littered with defeated students. Standing over those bodies is Venel Fafnir Lodragon, the rival candidate for the family headship. His loyal right-hand guy, Alan, reports in. The selection for their side is finally complete. Every single one, 3-star warriors. Look who it is. Langus's old bully Retin just hit 3 stars too. Venel admits the low-class guy has serious talent. He even promises to make Retin a direct right-hand man if he actually proves useful. Hearing that, the greedy bully immediately starts daydreaming about endless power. He is absolutely positive that with Vanille in charge, the West Wing will crush it. Clearing this mission means Vanille gets the headship, giving Retin ultimate authority. Suddenly, Alan whispers some bad news. Laika is fighting for the enemy. Vanille freezes for a split second, then totally brushes the worry away. He is completely convinced he will win and clear the mission. Then he can finally prove to his brothers that the head of House Throne is his alone. Finally, after 3 long days, everyone gathers up in the main hall. Langus is totally sweating the crowd size. But you and I both know this is just the beginning. The sheer numbers left are absolutely insane. The country boy realizes a harsh truth. These students will eventually become mock dragons exactly like his own father. Trying to calm his nerves. Alright, stick with me here. His blonde friend reminds him they were chosen as wing representatives and should be proud. He agrees, promising to go all out. Meanwhile, she notices our boy is being weirdly quiet. Seeing her looking worried, he casually explains he is just busy sizing up the competition's power levels. This flex immediately earns huge cheers from Rick and his classmate. Basically, they turned into Zeke's personal fan club after he thoroughly kicked their butts. Right then, he realizes something. Almost everyone outside the East Wing is at the 3-star tier, but there is not a single 4-star in sight. But he spots a few guys right on the absolute edge of breaking through to that 4th star, including Vanille. Intimidated? Nope. Zeke is super hyped to see their moves. Then out of nowhere, somebody grabs Laika into a huge hug. Startled, she realizes it is her cousin, Sandy Toporna, literal daughter of the family head. The commoner students around them are completely starstruck by her crazy high noble status. Sandy glares at the crew and scoffs. She totally roasts them, saying they look way too weak to be backing up a headship candidate like Laika. Our boy jumps in smirking. He tells her she will see their real value once the brawl starts. Laika awkwardly introduces Zeke as another candidate, and her snobby cousin instantly connects the dots. Ah, the famous illegitimate kid. She bluntly snaps that a bastard like him should not even be breathing right now. Laika tries calling out her toxic attitude, but her cousin just hands out a harsh reality check. Bastard or not, Zeke is competition. And hanging around total weaklings just makes the whole East Wing look like cheap trash. Now watch this flex. He calmly warns her not to underestimate them, or she will walk straight into a brutal trap. The noble girl gets furious that a guy with zero backing dared to talk back. But Zeke, he just shrugs it off as friendly advice. Before a real fight breaks out, Aegis Van Lade from the North Hall steps right in, telling everyone to chill out immediately. Sandy is super annoyed by the interruption, but her teammate reminds her the huge selection match is finally starting. Right on cue, the Gold Dragon Order captain Teach Menrick, aka the Dread Educator, steps up to the microphone and officially kicks off the matches. Basically, this tournament is a massive knockout battle between all 4 halls. First up, the halls split into 2 pairs. Bracket winners go head-to-head in the grand finale, and every single fight is a pure one-on-one duel. Halls send out fighters one by one in a locked order. Out of 7 total participants, the first squad to crush 4 opponents takes the crown. Menrich drops a warning. The lineup absolutely cannot change once things kick off, so their strategy needs to be perfectly solid. He reminds them the winners get a top-secret mission for the Dragon family. A massive achievement that could literally change their entire lives. At that exact moment, Laika and Vanille know what is really on the line. We both know clearing this mission is a massive step toward becoming the next family head. Matchup time. The team reps step up to draw colored stones from a box, and Vanille confidently walks up first. The blonde princess eagerly points him out to Zeke, who instantly senses Vanille's insane power. That whole team looks terrifyingly strong. He spots Rhett in the West Wing lineup, actually respecting the bully's crazy talent for hitting 3 stars so young. Of course, the bully spots Zeke and Langus right back. His face completely scrunches up, seeing a wimp like Langus standing with the reps. One by one, North and South draw their stones. East Wing's turn. Laika actually pushes Zeke to go draw the stone, instead fully admitting he is the absolute strongest. He jokes the honor should go to the youngest. Laika just deadpans, reminding the idiot they are literally the exact same age. Meanwhile, the snooty cousin is furious. An illegitimate son is representing the East Hall over Laika. She loudly complains he is not even a 3-star, claiming the only real rivalry is between her and Vanille. But Laika holds her ground, promising their squad is way tougher than they seem. Finally, everyone pumps their raw ether into the stones, revealing the glowing colors. 2 flash blue, 2 flash red. Boom, brackets locked. It is North Hall against East Hall and South going up against West. Mental warfare starts immediately. A giant student from the North Hall steps up, completely terrifying poor little Langus. Sandy totally squares up against her cousin, promising a brutal wake-up call to remind Laika exactly where she belongs in the family food chain. Laika, cool as ever, just calmly accepts the heavy challenge. Over nearby, a weirdly polite moment happens between Aegis and Zeke. They share a quick friendly chat. Both guys are just itching to test their skills against each other in the arena. Then match 1 officially explodes, East Hall versus North Hall. Rick is literally vibrating with hype, but the half-siblings can clearly spot the wild nerves hiding under his macho attitude. As the brutal duel starts, Rick instantly squares up fists, totally ready. Trust me, this is where it gets real. Zeke watches closely, knowing perfectly well that 0 wins are guaranteed here, even with Rick loudly screaming about his incoming victory. Alright, stick with me here. His sister notes these North fighters mostly rely on raw, unrefined brute force, exactly like Rick's own style. He totally agrees, telling Rick to just stick with the classic smash-and-grab tactics he already knows. The kid lunges in, and Laika points out the absolute nightmare of performing under the heavy pressure of this massive, staring crowd. Our hero chimes in. Sure, everyone else is sweating bullets, but absolute elites like Aegis and Sandy, they're totally chilling, basically right on the doorstep of becoming 4-star mages. He guesses her cousin probably rocks a fighting style, super similar to Laika's, setting this up as the ultimate boss challenge for her. Yeah, things crash and burn. The North Hall easily snatches the win. That brutal loss completely dumps a mountain of anxiety onto the East Hall, and boom, they completely fumble the second match too. The losing students are drowning in guilt, but their leader instantly steps up to shut that pity party down. He says they just got overwhelmed by the crazy arena vibes. Look, nobody is dying today. He tells them to use this safe playground to push their absolute limits so they survive a real bloody battlefield later. Down 2 matches, this next fight is do or die. Langus is fully spiraling. He's been a shaking mess all morning, and honestly, his opponent looks scary as hell. Zeke tries to calm him. He reminds him he already proved he can totally wreck upperclassmen, but Langus just isn't buying it. The dudes in his own hall were way less terrifying, and failing in front of this massive crowd is eating him alive. To snap him out of it, Zeke orders him to watch only the opponent's sword. He feeds his buddy a super basic cheat sheet. If the blade thrusts forward, deflect it. If it swings high, just step back. But if it comes crashing down, step right in and counterstrike. He tells him to react purely to the steel. Ignore absolutely everything else. Now watch closely. Zeke knows his shy friend struggles, but once Langus finally locks in, his focus is legendary. The nervous kid finally steps up to fight. The audience starts whispering. He looks tiny compared to that massive North Hall beast. Everyone expects an instant loss. But our country boy is finally in the zone. Boom, match starts. The enemy instantly uses 3-leaf swordsmanship, charging in with a brutal, piercing strike. But Langus is totally ready. He perfectly reads the angle and dodges like it is nothing. The senior, absolutely furious, screams he won't lose to some kid lunging again. Sweating on the sidelines, Celine bites her nails. The North guy is aggressively closing the gap, totally killing Langus's spear reach. But Zeke stays ice-cold, smiling because those eyes mean Langus is fully locked in. And he is right, Langus casually ducks a fatal swipe, making the senior lose his mind. The big guy spams a crazy flurry of hits, but our boy flawlessly counters with the Cloudwater spear technique, dodging like literal water. The senior is totally mind-blown by this fluid movement. Before his brain can even compute, Langus drops a nasty raging current pierce and instantly ends the fight. East Hall finally scores a massive win. Langus exhales a gigantic sigh of relief, and suddenly the whole vibe flips. Thanks to that epic underdog victory, East Hall is totally fired up again. Celine and Raymond immediately crush their matches too, leaving the squad just one single win away from the ultimate comeback. You and I both knew this was coming. The main event, Laika versus Sandy. Our girl calmly mentions it has been way too long since they last clashed. They both rock that explosive thunder spirit energy, but Sandy just rolls her eyes. She honestly never thought these East Hall scrubs who are not even at 3 stars yet could actually beat her elite team. Laika just smirks, telling her they pack way more punch than they look. Her arrogant cousin totally rejects that, saying friendship means 0 if you want to be the next head. You just need pure, overwhelming solo power. She mocks Laika for basically playing sidekick to that so-called illegitimate son. He calls it a massive threat to Laika's status. But our blonde heiress fires back. Sure, she is second to Zeke today, but she is still aiming for that headship, and taking Sandy down is step 1. Sandy just laughs at the threat, literally vanishing into thin air and teleporting behind Laika for a lightning-fast sneak attack. But Laika whips around, blocking the crazy slash right at the last second. Watching like a hawk from the bench, Aegis realizes Laika actually has the edge here, because honestly, she controls that wild thunder spirit with way more skill than her cousin. But how long can she keep up this crazy pace? Boom, Sandy finally lands a slash, though Laika barely stays on her feet. The wound is shallow, but she is completely gasping for air. Langus panics that Sandy's monstrous power is too much, but Raymond reminds everyone, Sandy literally trained Laika. Frustrated and desperate, Laika charges in, swinging like a total maniac. You see it too, right? Sandy instantly recognizes this sloppy habit from whenever Laika gets fully cornered. Let's dive right into this family grudge match. Laika unleashes a lightning flash slash, but Sandy counters with scattered thunder. Boom, the ground shatters in a massive burst of electricity. The powers collide, blowing Laika back, looking seriously roughed up. Sandy just smirks and taunts her, claiming those sloppy old habits haven't changed one bit. She claims joining the North Hall instead of the East would have saved Laika from this humiliation. But our girl yells back, refusing to call it quits. Her older cousin tells her to drop out, openly regretting she didn't beg her dad to force Laika up north years ago. But Laika stands her ground, raising her blade. Sandy decides playtime is over, launching another brutal strike to teach her a final lesson. Laika swings back, but Sandy easily dodges, leaping high into the air to set up a devastating finishing move. While the rest of the crew panics for her, Zeke stays totally confident. He knows this brutal fight is exactly what his half-sister needs to finally break out of her shell. Up above, Sandy drops Heavenly Thunder. A gigantic lightning bolt completely obliterates where Laika is standing. Game over, right? That match should be done. But when the smoke finally clears, Sandy's jaw drops. Her little cousin is still on her feet, somehow tanking that ultimate finishing blow. Wiping her face, Laika admits the old her would be toast. but for 5 straight years she has been grinding just as hard. You know what that means, right? She smirks, declaring this match is only just beginning. Flashback to her chat with our boy before the fight. He spotted her shaky nerves right away. She honestly admitted her extreme anxiety came entirely from having to fight her cousin. See, Sandy's dad was Laika's original mentor for the Thunderclap Great Sword Arts. But whenever she messed up the basics, Sandy was the one stepping in to fix her form. Basically, Sandy was her mentor too. Plus, Laika had literally never managed to defeat her before. In Laika's head, if she trained for 5 years, Sandy definitely did too. Winning felt completely impossible right from the start. To kill that self-doubt, Zeke just looked at her and asked her to reflect on those last 5 years. Thinking back made her scowl, but he called out her absolute worst flaw, always letting her hot-headed emotions take over in the middle of combat. He firmly reminded her that his insane training camps were entirely focused on keeping her cool. Against her old mentor, her only job was staying ice-cold and closely watching Sandy's every move. Laika hesitated, doubting if that was enough to win. But Zeke promised she would see the actual results once the real fight started. He hyped her up, saying her natural talent for reading an enemy's movements was top-tier stuff. Plus, the guy cockily reminded her who her master was now. With him as her teacher, crying over past wins and losses was a total waste of time. Her face finally softened. He always made impossible things sound so simple, and her racing heart finally started to settle down. Right before she stepped into the ring, Zeke dropped one last genius piece of advice. When Sandy taught her the basics, Laika could actually steal her cousin's upgraded version of the art just by watching it in action. Talk about a massive power-up. Back in the present, that's exactly what Laika is doing. Scanning those Thunderclap Greatsword arts. She basically tanked those heavy hits on purpose, just to analyze exactly how her former mentor flows her magic. I know you love a good comeback. Suddenly, Laika dashes forward and Sandy's eyes go wide, realizing her cousin is speeding up. The blonde princess swings hard, forcing Sandy to frantically block against a sharp thunder needle. Having no breathing room, Laika chains a thunder flash slash. She smirked, revealing she finally copied the tricky tempo variation Sandy always used, but she lacked. She sees the pattern now, perfectly executing it right in the middle of their fight. Sandy is absolutely stunned. Her student learned this mid-combo. The East Hall squad goes wild seeing her movement evolve so drastically. Zeke nods, noting that fighting someone with the exact same art is the ultimate way to level up. When Rick asks about her sudden shift, Zeke casually explains she just analyzed Sandy's technique and mastered it mid-air. How? Because their hellish training forced her to analyze an enemy's technique while literally getting punched by it. He tells Rick that despite her usual hot-headed berserker mode, their girl has grown enough to stay perfectly calm and read the battlefield. Meanwhile, Sandy bites down and refuses to quit, blindly hoping Laika's move is just some cheap copied knockoff. She desperately fires another thunderbolt, questioning if she's actually getting overpowered by her junior. Denying reality, she clings to her own intense training. But Laika rushes in, ready to demonstrate the true terrifying peak of the Thunderclap arts. Laika's Heavenly Thunder lands as the ultimate finishing blow, leaving the entire arena crackling with raw lightning. So what do we learn here? Underdogs always bite back. Sandy chuckles, admitting Laika got stronger, making East Hall our big winner. Across the room, Vinail quietly notices our boy. Meanwhile, the crew checks on Laika, though Zeke is super salty about not getting a turn to brawl. Laika points out he'd be facing Aegis if she had lost. When asked if she actually knows Aegis, she totally denies it, but she admits he is famous, literally the greatest genius of the Van Lade family. Inwardly, Zeke knows this dude is miles ahead of everyone else here. Stick with me here, even our boy has zero idea who would actually win. Suddenly, the captain steps up. He declares that even though the East Hall already bagged the victory, the tournament matches are continuing. Everyone is stunned. Even Merlin mutters that the whole event should be over. Our boy suspects some shady ulterior motive, but honestly, he doesn't care. He finally gets the epic fight with Aegis he wanted, and that is completely enough for him. A few moments later, the two beasts of the 7th match finally face off. The genius prodigy flat out admits his Hall already lost the tournament, but he is just itching for a real brawl. Zeke is honestly a bit shocked by how desperate the guy is to throw down. Aegis smiles, saying his curiosity is completely natural. After all, Zeke represents the East Wing, and a total powerhouse like Laika follows him. The crazy part, our guy is officially just a 2-star, making it super tempting. Zeke pauses, flashes a wild grin, and agrees completely. Now, watch closely. Out of everyone here, Aegis is on a totally different level. He's the prodigy of the century, and Zeke is hyped to test that rumor. The crowd erupts as Aegis draws his blade. Zeke hasn't fought a legit swordsman in ages. The match starts. Instantly, Aegis closes the gap in one explosive step. He readies his weapon, dropping into his 1000-blade single sword style. Then he unleashes a lightning-fast light blade technique. Zeke notices the aura of Aegis completely vanish right before the strike, twisting his body to dodge at the very last second. Aegis thinks he landed the hit, but Zeke just praises the insane move and demands more. Happy to oblige, Aegis switches to his wave blade, infusing it with pure water affinity. Weaving through the endless strikes, our boy admits this technique makes the sword path incredibly hard to predict. Still, he adapts fast, launching into the air to dodge a massive raging surge. Again, he cannot help but praise the guy. Aegis fires back with a light blade moving like literal lightning, making his attacks almost impossible to track. Zeke realizes this guy absolutely earned his genius title. Unpredictable movements, speed and power, staying maxed out, and absolutely flawless ether flow. Aegis is reading Zeke's breathing rhythm with scary precision from relentless training, yet our boy still flawlessly dodges every single attack. Aegis is clearly stunned, wondering what kind of hellish training Zeke has actually survived. Zeke jokingly offers to train him if he is that curious. Aegis instantly shuts it down, saying they can chat after the battle. Boom, our dude finally throws an offensive punch which Aegis barely blocks. Upon impact, he feels power way beyond 2-star level. Zeke shifts his breathing pattern to confuse him, but Aegis adapts so incredibly fast that he even blows away Zeke's expectations. Aegis figures out that since Zeke is attacking, he must be done analyzing his martial arts. Zeke confirms it with a cocky smirk. Then the North Prodigy launches into the sky for another strike. You and I both thought this was a repeat attack, right? Think again. He suddenly drops a crazy afterimage shadow. The brutal move actually connects, slicing right across Zeke's chest. He steps back, genuinely shocked to take damage. Meanwhile, Aegis darkly asks if he should show off even more tricks. Instead of panicking, our crazy hero just grins. This match is finally getting good. Meanwhile, Sandy slowly regains consciousness. For a second, she has zero clue where she is. Her teammates immediately rush over. She starts apologizing for the loss, but they cut her off, saying sorry for dragging her down instead. She admits the enemy was just incredibly strong, cheering them on to simply do their best next time. She asks if the West versus South match started, her friends drop a bomb. The North versus East trial is still raging, and it is getting insanely intense. Sandy stares right at the arena. She completely freezes. Her leader is actually using his 5 Shadow Aura Blade, meaning he is fighting at max power. Speechless, she remembers that chilling warning from Leica. Zeke is secretly the strongest monster among them all. Aegis is going wild with his 5 Shadow Blades, but Zeke dodges everything. Aegis genuinely wonders what this guy's body is made of. Even after this insane fight, Zeke isn't breathing heavy. He casually credits it all to his hellish stamina training. Here's what we learned today. Flashy martial arts are cool, but pure fundamentals actually win fights. Stick with me here. This absolutely pushes his opponent to train way harder now. Getting ready for the next clash, Zeke studies his rival. He calculates the sword's raw sharpness, its durability, the crazy speed, and its exact range. Even with Aegis's solid moves, it's just low tier to Zeke. Still, he admits the guy has serious potential to become a total monster later. This quick clash just highlights the huge power gap between 1,000 years ago and today. Back in the old days, martial arts was all about the pure attack. The core of battle used to be mastering one perfect technique, with ether just playing backup. But in this modern era, ether physically manifests into literally everything. Basically, mastering ether is the entire name of the game for modern martial arts. Zeke easily dodges Aegis's next strike. He is practically buzzing with hype, flawlessly countering every single attack this guy throws his way. He is so busy analyzing the techniques that his body just dodges on pure instinct. Seeing how fighting evolved over a millennium is honestly wild to him. Meanwhile, Aegis finally figures out our boy's strength is completely off the human charts. Up in the stands, Langus is sweating bullets because this crazy match has lasted 2 full hours. Leica just sighs, calling them both total freaks of nature, but she knows the finale is coming soon. Aegis asks if Zeke was just analyzing his moves this whole time. Zeke grins, saying he is having a blast, and surprisingly, his rival completely agrees. Pushing his remaining energy to the absolute limit, Aegis decides to drop his brand new technique. Dripping with sweat, Aegis casually admits he will probably lose. But he is going out with a bang, charging up his 5-blade ultimate sword attack. Now watch closely. Our guy counters with a wild trick of his own, launching dozens of fiery fists, the Dragon Extinction Combat Art's second form. The resulting shockwaves are so incredibly massive they hit the bystanders, forcing the entire team to instantly drop into hardcore defensive stances. Poor Sandy is left absolutely speechless by this ridiculous flex of raw power. Aegis's weapon is totally shattered, and he is flat on the dirt, completely wiped out. But he is grinning ear to ear, admitting his training still has a long way to go. Our boy stands victorious, claiming the huge win for the West Wing. The entire crowd is stunned silent, watching Zeke casually stand there after crushing an elite fighter like Aegis. But since the arena is completely destroyed, the West versus South match has to wait for repairs. His crew cheers him on while Leica playfully roasts him. He jokes that he totally lived up to his monster title by wrecking the stadium again. Zeke just rolls his eyes, telling her to chill since they got the win. The squad quickly shifts focus to the epic West versus South showdown. Zeke knows Vanille is a beast but hopes the southern fighter is actually strong enough to keep things fun. Boy, is he dead wrong about that. The fight is an absolute bloodbath, wrapping up in an embarrassingly fast defeat for the south side. Total one-sided madness. With the hype dying down, Zeke awkwardly scratches his head, realizing he totally trashed the ring. He figures repairs will take months, but Langus casually mentions the whole stadium is constructed from a super rare material called etherite. Just by pumping ether into it, the magic stone literally rebuilds itself perfectly. Zeke's mind is blown by this incredibly convenient architecture hack. And with that, the battle officially concludes. But I know what you're thinking, something is off. Even against a top-tier beast, Laya Sonarl just isn't the type to get stomped that easily. But the audience is waiting, and honestly, nobody can find a single trace of cheating. Left with zero proof, he officially declares West Hall the winners, lining up a clash with East Hall in just 1 hour. Meanwhile, the North Hall team is straight up panicking. Laika just glares at the ground, completely mind-boggled by Laya's weirdly pathetic downfall. Zeke is just as suspicious. He knows the power difference between those two fighters was absolutely nowhere near big enough to justify that brutal massacre. To his veteran eyes, something was deeply fundamentally broken. Leia's energy flow looked super sluggish, like she was literally fighting underwater. Glancing at the referee's stressed face, Zeke realizes he is not the only one smelling foul play. His entire crew starts arguing intensely. Vanille is their ace, but watching him win that effortlessly leaves a super sour taste for everyone. Celine calls out how weirdly fast it ended, but Merlin just shrugs. He reminds them this is their very first look at the rival hall's absolute heavy hitters. Rick mentions Vanille is basically on the exact same power level as Zeke and Laika. Langus chimes in, warning that the entire West Hall squad is stacked with insane monsters. Hearing all this crazy hype, both upperclassmen feel a sharp sting of regret over their past defeats. Still, Zeke smiles as their eyes ignite with a burning new determination to crush it next time. He loves their fighting spirit, but his eyes quickly drift right back to Laika. Missing that sneaky disturbance in Laya's ether flow has seriously messed with her confidence. Zeke really wants to comfort her, but until he figures out Vanille's dirty trick, he decides to keep his distance. Langus tries reaching out, but she walks off alone. You and I definitely need to see what happens next. Later, Laika sits by a fountain, letting the rushing water drown out her dark thoughts. She knows Laya way too well. Stick with me here. Laya wouldn't let anyone walk away without a scratch. That ridiculously easy victory totally screams setup. Her mind flashes back to childhood. She remembers the exact day Vanille completely crushed her spirit at just 5 years old. She desperately wants payback. But realizing Zeke is the guy facing him next, a massive wave of relief actually hits her. She absolutely hates feeling this way. It basically feels like waving the white flag. Her peace shatters when Vanille rolls up with his whole squad, openly mocking her miserable face. Skipping the small talk, he casually reminds her that if he becomes the family head, she might just become his wife. Gross. Laika snaps right back. She claims she is the one destined to rule, but honestly, her confidence is totally shaking. The older guy just chuckles, leaning in to whisper. He brags about destroying Laya, and reminds Laika she is completely outmatched. Gripping her shoulder, his voice turns seriously dark. He tells her to submit right now so he will go easy on her later. Looking totally disgusted, she rips herself away from his grip and sprints off. The second she leaves, Vanille checks with his lackey. Are they still on track? Especially that sneaky little trap for Zeke. Alan suggests hitting him fast and early, especially since our boy just proved how dangerous he is by wrecking Aegis. Now pay attention. Vanille agrees, but knows Zeke is actually sharp enough to instantly spot a trap. He realized our guy was taking hits on purpose earlier. That reckless fighting style, that is exactly what they plan to exploit. He refuses to let some illegitimate sibling steal his glory. In his twisted mind, the grand victory is already in his pocket. Fast forward 1 hour. The showdown between the East and West Wings finally kicks off. Sticking to their usual plan, Rick steps up to bat first. Merlin stands nearby, completely zoned out. He realizes something depressing. Even as seniors, they feel like the absolute weakest links compared to the massive powerhouses from the West. The intimidation level is literally off the charts. He is seriously doubting they can actually win this. Whack Zeke literally smacks him over the head, snapping him out of it. He yells at him for losing his fighting spirit. He brutally points out that, with that pathetic mindset, he is basically begging to lose. Tells him to aim for the win, no matter how scary the enemy is. Trust the insane training they just survived. Seeing Rick finally hype up, Zeke drops some simple advice: relax those stiff shoulders. The great strength fist art needs all energy focused into one single point. If he stays tense, all that massive power just scatters. Armed with that final tip to stay chill, Rick yells out that he actually feels ready to crush this. Watching him walk off, Laika points out the obvious. How does Zeke know every martial art without any formal training? It makes zero sense. Zeke hits her with that classic arrogance. He calls it a stupid question and says he knows everything simply because he is him. Yep, that super cocky answer makes her instantly regret even asking. You and I know the stakes here. Rick is staring down an absolute powerhouse of a fighter. But Rick, he is locked in. The other guy glares down laughing at his confidence and bringing up his past defeat. Rick smiles and says he is not the same weakling anymore. The opponent just flashes a super cocky, mocking grin back. Next second, Menik screams for the match to finally begin. The enemy rushes in laughing that Rick could improve in mere hours. He unleashes the Battle Mantis dagger art with a deadly mantis slash. Rick crosses his arms, completely covering them in defensive aura to block the heavy strike. Seeing that block, the enemy laughs, betting Rick will never survive this next brutal attack. Boom, the devouring swarm hits. Rick actually screams out in pain from the heavy impact. The bad guy just laughs openly, mocking his big talk. Rick admits this guy is an absolute monster. But giving up, not an option today. He throws a wild punch, but the dude brushes it off easily. He is way too cocky, thinking Rick is completely harmless. Since speed isn't working, Rick needs a new plan. Then it hits him Zeke's advice about relaxing the body to focus raw power. Wiping blood from his mouth, Rick decides right here. The next hit is all or nothing. The enemy charges up a piercing B-flash, calling Rick an annoying piece of trash. But Rick shocks the entire crowd. He grabs the blade bare-handed, locking the guy in place. Target secured. He pulls his fist back. Bam, he drops the great strength punch. The impact is absolutely insane, blasting his enemy completely across the arena in one shot. Trust me, you and I love to see it. Pure shock rocks the arena as the East Wing claims an epic victory. Stick with me here, this tournament is about to get absolutely wild. Vanille kicks his defeated lackey away like total trash. Then he turns to the rest of his crew with a dark look, ordering them to absolutely crush everyone. Match number 2 kicks off instantly. It is Merlin squaring up against Vanille's minion. Merlin goes straight in with the red flame sword art spark slash, but this guy easily deflects it. He counters hard with the great chaos spear art piercing barrage. The strike lands perfectly, leaving her coughing up blood. Zero breathing room. He just keeps the brutal, relentless beatdown coming. Her teammates turn completely pale watching this absolute horror show unfold on stage. Raymond grabs Rick to stop him, warning that stepping in means instant disqualification. Merlin goes down hard, handing the West Wing another win. Rick sprints over to her side, screaming her name in pure panic. Our boy watches all of this go down with a super heavy expression, listening to those desperate cries. Things are looking incredibly bad. She is completely out cold despite the frantic yelling. Zeke just watches his face turning ice cold. Now pay attention, because this is where the tension hits a boiling point. Rick gets right in his face, demanding to know why he went so far. The jerk barely even shrugs. He claims it is a combat match and he just did what was needed to win. When the crew yells that going that far was totally uncalled for, he laughs. He calls them naive for thinking the West Hall does mercy. Leica steps up, guessing out loud that their boss totally ordered this exact level of cruelty. He does not even try to hide it. If they cannot handle the heat, they should forfeit. Even Menric let it happen, because rules are rules. She had fighting spirit, and he just enjoyed completely crushing it. Before Leica can fire back, he turns around calling them annoying. He drops a warning to watch their own backs before they end up like her. Up next, Retin steps in as Langus's opponent, instantly pressuring the poor guy to forfeit. When our timid boy actually speaks his name, the bully snaps. He demands to know if Langus will surrender or get broken just like Merlin. He promises to treat Langus exactly like the garbage he was back home. Leica wants to stop this, but Langus stands his ground. He actually talks back, vowing to surpass him, which really ticks Retin off. As he bravely steps into the ring, Zeke's voice suddenly echoes in his head, making him shiver. We all love a secret weapon, right? He actually reveals a totally recreated technique to help him out. Right before the bell rings, Zeke drops some super cryptic advice. Clouds drift freely, and water flows endlessly. Langus is completely lost, but Zeke says to just picture those exact images if he ever hits a wall. Enrich spots Langus totally spacing out on stage and yells for him to wake up. He snaps right back to reality, blurts out an apology, and gets ready. The fight is on. Langus starts strong with the Cloud Water Spear technique, launching a water pierce, but his bully parries the strike and fires back with the Serpent Assault Sword technique Strike Piercer. Langus gets a block in, but Retin attacks again, laughing at him for acting tough with zero strength. A Serpent Slash actually lands this time. He tries to defend, but the blade literally curves around his guard and strikes him. Retin laughs in his face, daring him to block the next one. Hitting back, he unleashes flowing clouds running water. A huge surge of energy pours from his spear, but Retin just blocks it. With a massive push, he shoves Langus away. The squad watches in pure panic as their timid buddy stumbles backward, barely staying upright. He suddenly realizes his counterplan is failing hard. Retin is totally using Langus's own momentum right against him, and it gets worse. His opponent read him like a book and is actually a literal counterattack specialist. He aggressively mocks Langus, saying the massive skill gap between them is downright impossible. The bully grabs him by the collar, spitting that a mock dragon kid could never actually be strong. To him, Langus is nothing but worthless trash, exactly like his father. Langus completely snaps, screaming at him to keep his father's name out of his mouth, but the bully just slaps him aside, scoffing that he will never beat a real fighter. Those brutal words absolutely shatter the poor kid's spirit. He drops into total despair. He thinks he was stupid to ever believe he could be strong. He is just a fake dragon. A tear falls. And trust me, you're going to want to see how this fishing memory changes absolutely everything. Let's jump back in, you and I. His dad actually loved watching the clouds while fishing. That's when his father dropped the exact same wisdom. Zeke did clouds drift calmly, but the river flows endlessly. He explained that staring up at the clouds makes you realize how tiny human worries really are. Back then, little Langus didn't grasp the deep meaning behind those words, but his dad promised he'd understand eventually. While Langus is literally fading out of consciousness, Menrich just watches in stunned silence. This twisted bully doesn't give him a second to breathe. He grabs Langus by the collar, calling him a pathetic failure like his dad. But right then, those memories of clouds and water flood his mind, snapping Langus's spirit right back to life. Boom, he explodes into action, perfectly blocking Retten's next strike and shoving the bully away with insane out-of-nowhere force. A massive smirk creeps onto Menrich's face, seeing this wild glow-up. Langus has officially awakened his third star. Even seeing his former punching bag hit the 3-star rank, Retten is in total denial. He readies his blade and screams out. He unleashes a wild, sweeping slash. But the smaller boy just watches, dodging the deadly strike on pure reflex. Retten is losing his mind. He actually landed hits earlier, so how is this kid suddenly reading all his impossible attacks? Watch closely, because you and I know it gets crazy here. Retten launches a chaotic serpent swarm, but Langus just keeps marching forward. Meanwhile, chilling in the stands, our boy casually tells Laika that Langus is getting closer to his true essence. She's completely lost. He breaks it down. Langus has the cloud and water affinity. And water, it absolutely never stops moving. It bends, it flows, but it devours every single life force in its path. Zeke already flexed this exact essence in his last fight, but right now Langus is completely mastering it. Laika is mind-blown he pulled this off so incredibly fast. Zeke chimes in, pointing out that Langus is probably too hyper-focused to even realize what he's doing right now. Retten is genuinely terrified now. He swings frantically, desperate to back away, but Langus steps right in and effortlessly swats the sword aside with a spear deflection. Zeke just smirks. He knows damn well that water isn't just made for gentle flowing. Langus channels absolutely everything, manifesting a brutal water attack and blasts his opponent right off his feet. When Menrich officially calls the win for the East Wing, Langus is totally shell-shocked. Turns out he was running purely on combat instinct, and he just suddenly snapped out of it. Laika instantly runs over to hype up his 3-star promotion, but he's totally spacing out. Then it finally clicks, and he screams in pure joy. His squad goes wild, but he's still wrapping his head around crushing his bully. Rick is literally begging to know about that insane finishing move. Laika hypes it up too, saying it looked like a water dragon flying up a waterfall. Raymond thinks it's awesome. The poor kid is so clueless that he didn't even realize he busted out an actual named technique. Know what you and I are thinking. Our hero chimes in, casually explaining it was the Rising Dragon Piercer from the 2nd volume. He casually drops this trivia, even though poor Langus has literally only ever read the 1st volume. The kid is literally unlocking advanced moves on pure instinct. His sister immediately asks how Zeke knows this. Zeke can't exactly admit he literally invented the technique, so he awkwardly lies about skimming it in the Academy library once. Hitting that tier through pure self-study is wild. Truth is, back when Zeke was Gilus, he never even put this move in the book. His descendants probably chopped the ultimate technique into different volumes and locked them away in high-level storage. But somehow, his shy little buddy managed to unlock the path anyway. He basically reverse-engineered the hidden essence. Zeke is just amazed by the kid's talent until Menrich barks that they're wasting too much time. Selen awkwardly apologizes, realizing it is finally her turn to step up. East Wing is super hyped after Langus won, but the West Wing just goes totally feral, leading to Selen getting crushed in her match. But don't worry, match 5 comes around. Raymond goes absolute tryhard and snags the win. Now the contest moves into the second half. Selen beats herself up, thinking they could have already locked down the overall victory. Laika pats her back, reminding her they already have 3 wins. Victory is right there. If she wins her upcoming match, the whole thing is over. When our MC checks on her, she confidently says she's fine though. She jokingly points out he's standing just a little too close. She confidently promises him the win. But as she walks toward the arena, Zeke's instincts scream that something is very wrong. That West Wing loser gets a brutal welcome back, a hard kick from Alan, who calls him a completely useless pawn in their game. He's completely done venting his dark anger onto his fallen teammate. Alan brags that winning here flips everything. Hearing this, Laika steps up. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see this showdown. Alright, you and I are about to watch the East and West match begin. Blades are drawn. Our heiress instantly jumps up going for that first strike. Alan actually looks pretty nervous right away. He knows she beat someone as strong as Sandy. So he grips his sword tight, ready for absolutely anything. Their blades clash hard before both fighters jump back, just creating some distance to reset completely. Alan totally knows he might lose, but his boss already rigged this whole thing, poisoning Laika to tilt the odds completely in his favor. The trick finally kicks in. The blonde freezes, realizing something is horribly wrong with her body. Jumping on this opening, her opponent swings high, yelling that she does not stand a single chance. Laika manages to block it, but her poisoned body cannot handle the raw power of his blow. He struggles, and Alan takes the chance to kick her back. Her friends watch from the sidelines, their hearts absolutely sinking. The blonde heiress realizes she cannot use her lightning at all, but she has no idea why. Sensing her weakness, Alan totally taunts her. He repeats that she cannot change how this fight ends. He launches a brutal, non-stop assault. Taking hit after hit, things get incredibly bad for her. Now watch closely. She has not just lost her lightning, her ether is completely gone too. Ether binds to a fighter physically, so every single hit from Alan is now fatal. Without that ether shield, she is totally defenseless out there. He attacks again, and Laika gets desperate just to survive. Even the northern students watching can tell something is way off. Aegis is the very first to notice her ether vanished completely. Laika finally drops to her knees, bleeding and gasping for air. Even Alan has to admit in his head her endurance is insane. Surviving all this brutal punishment proves she is an extremely worthy candidate to lead her house. Suddenly he looks at his boss, a dark signal to end it. Alan preps his final lethal strike. Lance tries jumping in, but Raymond holds him back. Our main guy is also ready, ether surging as he prepares to stop this. But they do not need to. Sandy suddenly appears from nowhere. She blocks Alan right there with her own sword. Zeke lets out a massive sigh of relief. Alan screams at her for interrupting the match. Sandy just tells him to shut up. She knows exactly what he was trying to pull. You saw that too, right? He was not just winning. He wanted to kill her cousin. Stunned silence echoes everywhere. Alan furiously denies it, but even Aegis steps up. He points out that last strike was obviously meant to be completely fatal. While they argue, the northern representative warns Alan straight up. If he wants to avoid blame, he better be way more careful with his moves, because Laika could not even use her ether, making that last attack a total death sentence. Right then, Vanel joins the drama. He scoffs, saying they are the ones actually interfering, complains they are just whining because the girl was too weak. To the West Hall, this is a real brutal battle. They do not care if their opponent is hurt. They only care about crushing them entirely. Sandy snaps back, protesting that there must be limits. This is not some life or death match. Vanel just scoffs, calling her super soft. He claims that is exactly why she lost. For them, every single fight is real, but he jokes that even they hold back, claiming they never actually wanted to kill her. Sandy crackles with wild lightning at his pure disrespect. But before she moves, Menric steps up. A dark aura suddenly surrounds everyone. With a totally deadpan face, he asks who gave them permission for all this idle chatter. When Sandy defends her cousin, he coldly silences her. He declares he alone decides match results. They have zero right to be there, let alone complain. His heavy words make Aegis apologize right on the spot. Menrich officially names the West Hall the winner. He clears the ground of everyone except the next match participants. Scooping Laika up in his arms, Aegis asks a classmate to grab her sword. The very next moment, our crew rushes over, totally panicked. But Aegis calms everyone down. He already gave her a healing potion and is heading straight to the medical office for recovery. Zeke apologizes, but Aegis knows the truth. If Sandy had not stepped in, Zeke was going to do exactly that. Zeke totally admits it. Sandy addresses the elephant in the room. Vanel's side is getting stronger, sure, but not strong enough to absolutely crush her cousin like that. Her friends completely agree. This match had the exact same suspicious vibe as Vanel fighting Laia earlier. So where does that leave us? Aegis warns our boy to watch out for those dirty tricks. Stick with me, he just nods and turns to face his new opponent. Vanel is insanely cocky, already crowning himself the absolute winner of this match. Our boy completely ignores him, and that silent disrespect instantly makes the rich kid scowl in pure anger. The match finally begins. Vanel opens his big mouth to teach our hero a lesson and wipe his arrogant look away, but he never even gets the chance to finish. Boom. A sudden explosive punch directly to the face cuts him off. Vanel flies straight backward, leaving the entire audience and the captain completely stunned. Our guy just scoffs, laughing at how Vanel talked so big about real combat but let his guard down instantly. He holds out a hand, daring his enemy to show off that real combat he loves. Remember, before the match started, our guy warned him he is treating this like a real-life battle. He really hopes Vanel will not regret his words. Confused by this crazy shift in energy, his cocky opponent spits back that our hero will regret stepping into the ring. Squaring up our boy makes it extremely clear they will see who is left standing. Now watch closely. Vanel stumbles toward the arena edge while his lackey screams in pure shock, unable to believe their boss got knocked away so easily. Vanille glares at our protagonist, absolutely reeling because the guy is still completely unharmed. Even with Vanille boosting his defenses to the absolute max, our boy just stays calm, his eyes easily tracking every movement. He figures out Vanille uses wind element, clearly coming from one of the rich elite houses that specializes in wind magic. His half-brother, on the other hand, is absolutely furious. Our hero just taunts him, asking how it feels to finally taste that real battle he kept crying about. He drops another insult, telling his arrogant half-brother that he is actually holding back his own power level. Vanille explodes in rage and tries to speak, but with lightning speed, our boy vanishes and appears behind him, striking his absolute blind spot. This time, the cheater actually braces himself for impact. Still, his eyes go wide in confusion. He just cannot understand how someone like him is getting manhandled so completely effortlessly. Before he can even process anything, Zeke appears right in his face. He mocks Vanille, calling his daydreaming a rookie mistake, and then buries a massive fist super deep into his gut. Coughing up blood, Vanille crashes straight to his knees. Our boy just stares down with a deadpan look coldly, stating he could have killed him 3 times over by now. First, a strike to the face, then a neck blow, and finally easily stopping his beating heart. You and I both know the truth in a real battle. Vanille is dead meat. Our guy is just graciously holding back. Before the poor boss can even process what is happening, our boy delivers a brutal sharp kick right to his chin. He coldly announces that break time is completely over, and it is time for a real taste of battle. The northern elites are totally shocked by this display. Even Aegis admits his old match with Zeke was basically a friendly spar. In a real fight, this guy is a ruthless monster. As his opponent groans and struggles to stand up, Zeke reminds him how utterly stupid the West Hall guys are. They think real combat means beating people, while instructors watch closely and healing potions are nearby. To Zeke, they have no clue what a real life or death struggle looks like. Vanille weakly tries to shut him up, but Zeke just keeps roasting him, pointing out that they only mask their massive weaknesses with pointless cruelty. Driven to absolute boiling rage, Vanille screams for him to shut up. His ether violently swirls around him. The audience gets super tense, wondering what crazy move he will pull next. Vanille sneers, calling Zeke a lowly brat, daring to preach. But even with furious ether violently surging straight at him, Zeke stays totally calm. He looks at his opponent like he is just a little kid having a massive tantrum, openly daring him to go ahead and vent all his frustration. Completely infuriated, Vanille screams at him to stop acting like a smug know-it-all. He finally unleashes his Stormblade technique. A massive ether storm erupts, threatening to crush Zeke completely, but our boy just leaps gracefully into the air, easily dodging the disaster. Meanwhile, his enemy only needs a single touch to use his cheap trick on our boy. Right now, the audience is really struggling to even watch the match. That is because Vanille is using the Fafnir family wind aura, making his strikes practically invisible to the naked eye. Sandy remarks that a sneaky power perfectly suits the Fafnir family, which quickly earns a light scolding from her friend. Even he has to admit these invisible attacks are a super dirty trick. Lancis watches from the sidelines, looking extremely worried for his friend. Vanille grows insanely frustrated because he still has not landed a single hit. Zeke just laughs, claiming he is just going with the flow. And here is what we learned today. The angry kid leaves a massive opening, and Zeke promptly cracks his skull. Alright, let's dive right back in. Vanille keeps swinging, but Zeke casually dodges every single wind blade like it is an absolute joke. Like a tired grandpa dealing with a toddler, Zeke asks if he is finally done throwing his tantrum. This absolutely shatters Vanille's ego. He loses his mind, screaming that he will literally kill him for the disrespect. Vanille lunges in for a final desperate strike. But Zeke, he just drops into a stance, perfectly predicting the entire attack path. Seeing his opponent running on empty, Zeke casually suggests he just tap out before things get seriously humiliating. But this sneaky snake actually finds a tiny blind spot, desperately grabbing right onto Zeke's ankle. He secretly injects that ether-blocking poison. Zeke stops mid-sentence, suddenly noticing the absolutely psychotic glare in his opponent's eyes. Flashing a villainous smirk, Vanille declares game over. At first, our guy is honestly just super confused. Not wasting a single second, Vanille blasts him with a crazy barrage of wind bullets, forcing Zeke to take the hits. Up in the stands, everyone is holding their breath. Aegis is actually the first to spot Zeke's energy suddenly tanking. Suddenly, Leica pops up, leaning on Merlin, totally praising Aegis for his sharp eyes. The crew is completely mind-blown to see her out of the hospital bed, but she swears she is holding up okay. Raymond immediately asks the big question. Does she know what is happening to Zeke, since she literally just went through the same weirdness? Leica is not 100% sure, but she totally bets it is the exact same debuff. That sudden absolute zero ether lockdown. Thinking back, she realizes Laia definitely got hit by this exact same nonsense too. The squad completely freaks out about Zeke losing his powers. Meanwhile, Vanille is practically doing a victory dance. He is so ready to make Zeke pay for acting all tough and looking down on him. Now watch this part closely. With a violent snap of his fan, he unleashes hurricane dust and a massive storm swallows the arena. He throws the entire cyclone straight at our main character, totally convinced this is the final kill. Angus screams out in pure panic, but dropping everyone's jaws, Zeke does not just survive the crazy hit. He charges right through the tornado and absolutely decks Vanille across the stage, wiping blood off his face. Vanille is totally glitching out, trying to compute how his attack did 0 damage. While the crowd loses it, Laika just smirks. She knows the truth. Taking away ether from an absolute physical monster like Zeke literally does not matter at all. Down in the ring, Zeke looks at the stuff he is already sweating out, realizing it is poison. Vanille grinds his teeth. His signature poison was supposed to be completely invisible. Hilariously, our guy actually claps for his opponent. He praises his genius idea of using an ether-blocking toxin to cheese all those easy past wins. Plus, the fact that even Zeke did not notice the debuff until it was already inside him, that proves Vanille honestly has some mad skills. The furious Western leader demands to know how on earth Zeke just punched him with his powers totally locked down. You and I both know our boy is built differently. Zeke just laughs off the poison as completely useless against his raw muscles. Vanille practically pops a blood vessel, hearing his entire life's masterpiece get called a minor inconvenience. Because guess what? Zeke has no clue Vanille actually invented the stuff himself. Zeke keeps geeking out, complimenting how insanely hard it must be to craft a poison with such crazy specific rules. He literally calls it brilliant, like it is completely harmless to the user, flowing through Vanille's own veins without a single issue. But it is beautifully designed to completely shut down the energy of anyone else it touches. Zeke loudly drops the mic, saying it is totally useless on him since he already purged it from his system. Then he turns into a disappointed teacher, lecturing Vanille that he shouldn't rely on cheap tricks, even amazing ones. This totally triggers Vanille. Zeke is ready to wrap things up, but his half-brother is seething, flashing back to all the absolute hell he survived to make this poison. He flashes back to growing up in a toxic cutthroat family, crushed by the insane pressure to become the heir. Without the top spot, he was trash. Everyone constantly compared him to his gifted siblings. Even little Laika was way better at martial arts than him. His own mom basically called him a massive disappointment. During those brutal days, he found his one special talent: making poison. He weaponized his chemistry skills to chase the family throne, desperate for just one crumb of his mother's approval. Losing his mind, he charges at Zeke, screaming that a natural prodigy could never understand the torture of competing against real geniuses. He rushes in for a furious strike, but Zeke just catches his hand mid-swing, squeezing so insanely hard that Vanille drops his weapon. So what do you and I take from this? Desperation makes people crazy. Vanille is still totally delusional, fully convinced he has to win. Let's jump right into the madness. Lacking combat talent, he doubles down on toxins. He whips out a poison needle packed with a custom highly toxic blend. It is completely lethal. Even he, the guy who made it, cannot fully cure this stuff. He honestly doesn't care if he chokes on the smoke himself as long as he secures the win. His victory lap is cut short. He sees Zeke casually holding that exact needle, asking if this was his final move. Vanille is completely freaked out. He stumbles backward in pure shock, entirely unable to comprehend the absolute monster he's facing right now. Our boy simply steps forward, grabs him firmly by the shoulder, and explains that he has completely misunderstood what being a martial artist actually means. Having 0 talent or being able to block ether, not a big deal. The hunger to win is what really matters. At least, that is Zeke's logic. Plus, he tells him he was totally wrong about having 0 martial arts talent. The hard truth, he simply picked the completely wrong weapon. A guy like him needs something with a much longer handle. Like an umbrella. Vanille is left entirely speechless. Zeke points out that throughout history, ordinary things like fans and umbrellas were totally deadly weapons. Anything can be a tool of war. His half-brother just sits there completely dumbfounded while Zeke lectures him about finding a combat style that actually fits him. Our guy tells him straight up, stop crying over a lack of talent if you seriously want to be a warrior. Believing that anything goes on a battlefield to win and protect your squad, that mindset is solid. His way of thinking is actually spot on. He is just using it the wrong way. Now pay attention here, because you won't believe this. Zeke holds out his hand, offering to personally mentor him. Vanille is in total disbelief, but Zeke quickly reminds him who is stronger. Beating him easily is all the proof his expertise needs. Seeing the guy hesitate, Zeke promises that under his brutal guidance, he will forge him so hard he won't even have a single second to whine about talent. His half-brother hesitates again. It honestly sounds way too good to be true. But in the end, that deep hunger for real strength wins out. He finally reaches up to take his brother's hand. But wait, right before their fingers even touch, Zeke suddenly remembers they are literally mid-match. Bam! He punches the absolute life out of Vanille to officially secure the win. The whole mentorship thing can wait until after the fight. The captain calls the match, clearly noticing how Zeke managed to clear that lethal poison in a split second. East Wing takes the massive win, and Zeke's squad goes absolutely wild. Surprisingly, even the northern elites are pretty hyped to see him crush it. With the brutal selection matches finally wrapped up, it is celebration time. Everyone regroups for an official mission briefing followed by a massive, well-deserved feast. The man in charge skips the boring small talk. He dives right into the details of their next special mission. And this time, it is not just the East Wing. Fighters from every single wing are gathered for this meal. Before the captain even walked in, the tension in the room was suffocating. You and I are probably wondering why everyone got invited, right? Well, the fighters were dying of curiosity too, anxiously waiting for answers. Yet, in the middle of this high-pressure situation, exactly one person stays completely chill. Our boy Zeke is just stuffing his face like he has starved for weeks, casually telling his squad to eat before it gets cold. His total lack of concern definitely stresses out the blonde Aries. He nervously asks how Zeke can stuff his face when they should be terrified about whatever insane task is coming next. Right on cue, the official enters. Seeing that our guy was already feasting, he simply laughs and tells everyone else to dig in. This huge meal is a direct reward for their brutal effort during the matches. Once the room settles down, the captain explains the mission. Aries immediately speaks up, questioning if mere students are even allowed to hear this. Henrich quickly waves off the concern. It is totally fine because there is a very high chance they will actually be deployed on this mission. Menric reveals the discovery of a highly unusual rift right inside Lagan territory. Hearing this, a memory instantly clicks for Zeke. He remembers reading about this exact phenomenon back in the library archives. Menric continues explaining that while they know standard rifts, this specific one plays by entirely different rules. Normal clearing methods will not work here. When Laika asks for the catch, Menric drops the rift's absolutely insane entry conditions. Only fighters at the 3-star rank or lower can enter. Anyone at 4 stars or above gets violently rejected by the barrier. It is an absolute rule, meaning even the legendary family heads cannot step 1 foot inside. The Lagan family has plenty of 3-star heavy hitters. Thanks to a massive surge of new rifts across their lands, they are severely short-staffed. That is exactly why this deadly burden falls on the students. Then he drops the massive bombshell. There is a huge chance this specific rift holds magic water, the incredibly rare stuff needed to awaken real mana. The entire room freezes in pure shock. Zeke's eyes go wide, immediately demanding confirmation about what this water actually does. You and I are going to want to see what happens next. Menrich confirms it converts ether into mana, unlocking true magic. Zeke's eyes practically turn into stars. Menrich reveals that 7 of the 8 great families own a magic spring except for the dragon family. Stick with me here. This is not just some task. It's the most vital mission in family history. Failure, absolutely not an option. But yeah, there is a massive catch. Rift sits right on the Cerberus family border, and they absolutely want it. That totally explains why those selection matches were so insanely intense. They needed 7 elite 3-star warriors. Aegis naturally assumes the winning East Wing gets to sweep the board and take all the spots, but Menric drops another bomb. Literally, anyone who fought can be picked for the final 7. The matches weren't just about winning. It was a giant scouting event to see everyone's fighting styles and build the ultimate balanced dream team. Menrich turns to Zeke, handing him full authority to pick the members of this special squad. Zeke looks completely caught off guard, but Menrich reminds him as the champ of the East Wing it is his sworn duty. Zeke, who literally never wanted to be a leader, instantly passes the buck straight to Laika. She hesitates, so Zeke drops an ultimatum. Either she picks the team or he picks for her, and he'll just go completely solo. Knowing how wild Zeke is, Laika sighs. She really better just do it herself. Zeke points out that as a candidate for family head, this is perfect practice for judging character and testing her leadership insight. Menric pulls Zeke aside. Is he seriously sure about just handing over all this power? Leading this mission basically guarantees him the seat of the family head. But Zeke, he just shrugs it off. To the absolute shock of everyone watching, he announces he has zero interest in leading the family. They stare at him like he grew a second head. But honestly, reaching the absolute peak of martial arts means way more to him than some boring political chair. Laika starts building the squad and the scene shifts. Now pay attention, things get wild here. The Cerberus boss hears about the rift. He is absolutely furious, calling the dragons lizards and screaming at his men. His guy admits they fell for dragon family decoys. Cerberus head connects the dots. If the dragons are entering that forest, something massive must be hiding inside the rift. His men confirm the magic water rumors. Immediately, he demands to know the entry rules. Limited to 7 fighters, 3 stars or lower, he grins. He sees right through the dragon plan to hog every single slot. He gets even more hyped finding out the dragons are low on veteran troops. They are actually sending students, meaning the heirs are definitely going. He turns and asks exactly how many bracelets of deception they have stored. Hearing they have 4, he completely snaps and orders them to use every single one to assassinate the dragon heir. His subordinate hesitates, warning that these rare items are practically impossible to replace. The boss does not care. They are just collecting dust anyway. He wants them used to butcher those dragon kids. You and I both know villains love their twisted grins, right? He is already imagining Bowles' face when his kids are shipped back in tiny pieces. Meanwhile, back at the academy, Laika officially locks in the 7-person mission squad. Before shipping out, Zeke steps up to drop some final hardcore training on his team. Starting with Rick and Merlin, he tells them to focus entirely on basic physical conditioning, run every single day, build pure, raw muscle. Solidifying that foundation is the only way they will survive handling high-tier martial arts later on. The two upperclassmen get totally hyped up and immediately commit to the grind. Raymond, Zeke pulls out a rare regeneration stone. This legendary stone reflects any impact 100 times over and cannot be broken by ether. To prove its power, Zeke punches the rock without using any ether at all. Everyone watches in total awe as he casually blocks the massive recoil with his shield. He tells Raymond to tank that reflected damage head-on to level up his parrying. Celine admits she literally never considered using a regeneration stone for something like this. Next up, Zeke turns to Celine. He orders her to strike it repeatedly, using her ether. But here is the catch: she has to focus all her power onto one tiny point instead of letting the force scatter. Her first few attempts completely miss the mark. Zeke reminds her that focusing maximum strength into a tiny point is crazy difficult. Grabs a blade and shows off a flawless pinpoint strike. Celine is left absolutely speechless. He explains her Fuka swordsmanship relies on spamming attacks, but she desperately needs to master the deadly precision of single strikes. Finally, Zeke steps up to Langus. His buddy is sweating bullets. But Zeke just uses a wind technique he copied from his fight with Vanille to make a feather dance. Trust me, you will want to see what is next. Alright, stick with me here. The whole squad is absolutely speechless, watching him copy a high-level chi move after seeing it once. Zeke casually swings his spear, telling Langus the real secret. Stop fighting the energy and just surrender to the flow. Langus hesitates, totally stressed out. A feather feels way too light to control, but Zeke calmly explains, don't chase the object's movement, you actually have to become one with it. Guiding the tiny feather with his wind energy, Zeke breaks it down. The second Langus masters yielding to the natural current, he can actually start generating that raw flow on his own. Laika, the blonde princess, ruins the moment. She interrupts them, warning everyone to move out right now or fall behind. Staring at his friend's back, Langus is seriously doubting his own skills. Thankfully, his classmates hype him up to just do his absolute best. As the squad finally heads out, Zeke smiles. This group is getting super interesting. Laika proudly announces they built the ultimate dream team. Aegis is waiting up ahead, making their specialized recovery unit totally complete. We have Sandy, Aegis, Laia, Vanille, Alan, and Zeke all marching right behind Captain Laika. Meanwhile, Captain Menric reports straight to Balsa, the family head. The team is gone, but there is a catch. The rival Cerberus family totally knows about this special rift too. Balsa fully expected this drama, even if it happened super fast. Lucky for them, his squad is ready to rush in before Cerberus even gets their boots on. One guy points out the obvious trap. What if Cerberus just camps outside waiting to jump them and steal all the loot later? He suggests sending the backup crew over there right now to stop any sneaky ambush plans. Silence fills the room. Then Balsa just asks, how strong is this selection team really? Henrik hypes them up. They are stacked with elite 3-star fighters totally strong enough to clear the dungeon and smash any Cerberus goons in their way. Now pay close attention because things get wild here. Balsa calls Zeke a weak 2-star, but Menrich drops a massive truth bomb. He says Zeke could literally clear everything completely solo. Menrich adds that among all of Balsa's sons, Zeke's true power is a giant question mark. A random officer actually laughs at this, loudly reminding everyone about Zeke's low rank. The captain nods but fires back fast. For a total monster like Zeke, star rankings are literally just useless numbers. They mean absolutely nothing. Then Menric hits them with something crazy. Zeke's moves look exactly like Balsa's personal dragon-slaying techniques. Boom. The entire room, even the family head, just freezes in pure shock. That specific dragon-slaying style is top secret. It gets passed down exclusively to the main leaders of the Lagan family. It is literally impossible for an outsider to learn. A guy asks if he is absolutely sure. Menrich swears on it he has seen both of them fight, and Zeke is already matched with his father's crazy level. Menrich starts overthinking the mystery but shakes his head. Balsa steps in, admitting that years ago he actually ordered Freya to secretly dig into Zeke's hidden past, and the result, zero evidence he ever trained in martial arts before entering the dragon nest. Hearing this, the officers realize something terrifying. Zeke must have created these insane techniques completely by himself. Menrich brings up a theory straight out of a fantasy novel. What if Zeke is literally the reincarnation of an ancient progenitor, or the legendary 15th head? Balsa just stays silent, seriously questioning who his son actually is. You and I both know anime logic, right? But looking at his men, Balsa laughs, finding the whole reincarnation theory to be completely impossible and absurd. He shuts the meeting down, deciding that if his son really has that much raw power, then Zeke can easily crush whatever trash the Cerberus family sends. Fast forward 1 week, Freya and her guards are chilling near the rift. She looks around annoyed because her lazy vice captain just vanished again. Sighing at his usual nonsense, she wonders if anybody else is coming. Right on cue, the kids arrive. She immediately roasts them, saying they should have sprinted if they actually wanted to be on time. Laika claps back calmly. Why waste energy before the mission starts? Then she directly asks what Freya is even doing out here. The veteran explains she is off teaching duty today. Right now, her only job is to aggressively guard this creepy special domain. Sometimes these rifts are so crazy powerful they leak out, creating this massive dark zone right around the entrance. Zeke stares at the weird black trees. Wait a second. He recognizes that exact same mist from when he fought the anger boar. It totally clicks in his head. The monster went completely crazy because of this rift's energy. Freya gets to business. She is standing guard to block any attacks from the Cerberus family. If they grab that magic water, the Luragan family gets insanely overpowered. And obviously, the Cerberus guys want to ruin that plan. Their job: smash any escaping monsters and block all intruders. And trust me, you are going to want to see what happens as she touches the glowing barrier. Her hand gets rejected. Stick with me here. This special rift only allows 7 people ranked 3 stars or lower. 4-star warriors and monsters, completely blocked. Zeke steps up and touches the barrier. Hearing he can't break it by force just makes our guy want to try anyway. Catching that crazy look in his eye, Freya reminds him to actually follow instructions. He lies straight to her face, claiming he's listening perfectly. The Cerberus family hasn't shown up yet, so Freya urges them to head in and wishes them luck. The second they enter, deer-like monsters charge straight at them. Venel steps up, swings his new staff, and blasts them away with one massive wind sweep. Alan is totally hyped. Watching this, Aegis remembers back at the academy that exact moment Zeke tossed the weapon to his half-brother. Back then, Vanille was in total shock. He couldn't believe Zeke actually wanted to help him grow. When Zeke insisted he use that staff for the mission, Venel completely lost his mind, insulted by this weird weapon for a massive task. Now, watch closely how this completely flips. He literally threw the staff and stormed off. But then he froze, feeling his own wind energy suddenly echoing from the exact staff Zeke was holding. Totally baffled, he demanded to know how Zeke just did that. Zeke just shrugged. Told him he doesn't need to understand it, he just needs to swing the tool. They argued back and forth until Vanille reminded him the original idea was an actual umbrella. Since our boy couldn't find an umbrella, this long-handled staff was the next best option. Vanille yelled that he literally knew 0 staff techniques. So Zeke just flexed, saying he already created the perfect custom move for him, the Phantom Wind umbrella art. Flash forward to now, and Vanille is using that exact style. Watching from the sidelines, the northern leader realizes Vanille's moves are way sharper than his old fan style. It matches his wind aura flawlessly. Alan nervously asks if Zeke actually created this style from scratch. You and I know he did. Zeke admits it with a casual shrug, leaving the kid totally speechless. Nobody here realizes who our hero really is. Meanwhile, Laia walks right up to Zeke, staring him down before demanding to know the real truth. He proudly claims it, and she just stares in pure awe. But hey, not everyone buys it that easily. Sandy scoffs, calling it impossible to just invent a martial art. Aegis tries explaining that normal logic skips Zeke, but Sandy ignores him. She pivots her anger toward Vanille, instead absolutely rubbing salt in the wound. She mocks him for needing poison to win, calling him a total liability with some sketchy, unknown art. Boom, another massive fight erupts between the Western and Northern kids. Aegis jumps in, practically begging them to work together since this rift is incredibly dangerous. The Western students finally quiet down, but Sandy just keeps going off. He refuses to work with the guy who tried killing Laika. She even tries dragging Leia into her drama, but Leia doesn't care. She is completely locked in on the mission. Zeke watches her and thinks, yeah, Leia is truly something else. Getting nothing from Leia, Sandy spins around and vents at her cousin instead. Laika admits she isn't quite as cold as Leia, but she built this exact team purely for the skills needed to survive. Alan casually mutters that Laika seems way smarter than her cousin, which almost starts a fistfight. Laika watches this messy drama with serious worry, but Zeke is already analyzing their team dynamic. A squad with 0 trust, that is a massive risk waiting to explode. If they can somehow accept each other's flaws, they might actually turn into a solid crew. They finally reach the target, a massive literal crack floating right there in empty space. Laika warns everyone to stay sharp as they approach the unknown. Zeke, he is just super hyped. But trust me, you are going to want to see this. Someone else just entered the domain. When Laia asks if anything is wrong, he just plays it cool, brushing it off and pushing the team straight into the rift.